We're 7 days on from Port Adelaide's obliteration of the Swans, which skyrocketed them back into premiership contention. But after a run of September's shortcomings, the Power need to keep the ball rolling to dispel their doubters. And what better way to do so than ending Melbourne's slim finals chances at the home of football? It's the Demons and the Power at the MCG for Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. There's a couple of late changes. So Jack Billings is in, as is Blake Howes. Jake Bowie out, as is Taj Woewodin. So the two changes there for the Demons. Their sub, Jake Melksham. Quinton Narkle, the sub for the Power. No late changes for them. Aaron Bryant's calling the action for you, and alongside me is Joel Peterson. Good to see you, Joel.
You too, Az. Intriguing game of footy. What a weekend it's been already in the competition. Some comeback wins. What do we get tonight? And which of these sides can we trust?
Port Adelaide's credentials have been tested a lot over the past couple of months, and a win at the home of footy certainly would bolster their standing amongst the finals contenders. We've got a star-studded expert lineup for you as well. Some Carlton greats. Firstly, it's great to welcome the now, or soon-to-be, six-time skipper, three-time All-Australian Karen Peterson. Good to see you, Kez.
G'day, Aaron. G'day, everyone. It is an interesting game tonight. I'm really keen to see how Melbourne bounce back. They had a shocker last week against the Dogs. I'm really keen to see how they bounce back tonight against a really formidable Port Adelaide side at the moment.
And alongside Karen Peterson, her former coach and 150-game Hawk, Daniel Harford. Good to see you, Harf.
Don't forget the 9 games at the Blues. They were pretty good too. Good evening. Great to be here. Can't wait to see how Port Adelaide follow up that performance against the Swans last week. That was out of the box.
Straight into the thick of things. It's the D's and the Power. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Joel Peterson to kick us off.
What an opportunity it is for Jordan Sweet to test his stuff against the very best in Max Scorn. Demons with the opening clearance here at the MCG. Pickett gives it to Rivers, who flares the kick out wide to Billings, who was into the squad as a late inclusion for Woewodin, who was out ill. As Aaron said, Howes comes in for Bowie, the late change. Here is Cozzy Pickett, drops it inside the 50. Fritz stretches to Mark. Farrell's there at ground level in defence for the Power. Flicked out by Oliver through the hands of Houston to Butters, now to Boak off half-back. Handball to Wines, look for the give and go, looped it forward to Butters. Handball batted down by Neil Bullen in the middle of the ground. Butters is back onto it, but he gave it up to Salem. Free kick and advantage to the D's.
Now Billings sends Melbourne inside 50. Van Rooyen well held by Zerk Thatcher. Did well to get the crumb, but he's run down by Wines. Zerk Thatcher for the Power, chops it on the boot, a little chip to Bergman. And now Lockie Jones can clear. Thrusts the handball to Boak at left half-back. Moving it through the broadcast wing, he'll look to the centre square. It's a dangerous one for his skipper. He did well to tap it to Butters. Caught in the tackle as Salem flung it out. Whistle stays away. The non-controlling umpire comes in and pings Zach Butters. Free kick to the D's, attacking edge of the square.
It's a bold kick back into the corridor from Boak. We'll see a bit of that tonight from the Power. They play the corridor more than any other team in the competition, so they're happy to pull the trigger on those.
Melbourne kicking to the right-hand side of your radio dial, or the city end here at the MCG. Christian Salem on return from a hamstring injury looks to send Melbourne back inside 50. Penetrating kick, they converge. Launching was Petty late. On hands and knees, wrenches it out. Overhead handball only found Lockie Jones. He fumbled. Jack Billings trying to knock it towards Neil Pullen, who's crutched. Fell into the tackle forward. And Sweet holds him up to force a ball up. No score so far, opening couple of minutes.
Half cares, any interesting matchups early?
I just think we've got to keep an eye on the defenders for the Demons. No May out there, but then they're going to be occupied all the big key positions. Tomlinson, Lever.
Plenty of height in that forward line for the Power. Petty made a good tackle inside forward 50, but the Power squeeze it out. And here comes Butters charging through the MCG. He whips the kick wide to Marshall, who replaces Georgiades in the side this week. Kick inside forward 50 is a perler. And Darcy Byrne-Jones marks 46 metres from home on a 45-degree angle out to the right. Doesn't have the trip, so he goes back looking for Marshall. Doesn't find him over his head. Rivers had it on the bounce. It's spilt to Marshall as the first deliberate shot on goal and just sneaks it in for a minor score to the left. Port with the first score, behind through 2.5 minutes.
It was pretty sloppy by the Melbourne defenders there. They were just caught flat-footed as the ball hit the deck, and Marshall swooped onto it, so they're going to need to be a little bit quicker than that when ball hits ground, the Melbourne defenders.
Tomlinson brings it into McVie. Chips it to the right back pocket for the Demons. Here's Howes. A late inclusion down the broadcast wing. Perfectly weighted to Billings. Close to the boundary line. He'll hand it by. Tomlinson kept running. Had Boak on his tail under pressure. His handball a little shallow for Gawn. Tackled close to the boundary line. Let it go. Zerk Thatcher wants to keep it in, but his rush kick is over the line and out on the full. Free kick Melbourne. They're down by a point over at the Docklands. The Suns lead the Bombers 1 straight 6. Sam Flanders the first goal scorer there. We'll keep you updated updated rather across the night on ABC Sport.
Can they get a win away from home? The Suns. Oliver takes it from in front of the interchange, drives the kick to half forward for Melbourne. Gawn was there through his hands, picked up by Zirk Thatcher for the Power. Fashions a kick hurriedly down the other way, and Drew picks it up on the members' side. Kicks to half forward. Ratanalea marks. Hands it off to Rosie. Goal it is Murphy. The skipper from 50 bounces it into the post. 2 points for the Power. Demons yet to score. 4 gone opening term. ABC Sports Saturday night footy.
So Drew's gone to Oliver. Try and keep a leash on him tonight. Just down the other end of the forward line for the Demons. Farrell's got the job on Pickett, who is, as we know, fairly enigmatic. A match winner on his day, but goes missing at times as well.
Howes plays on and launches it to right half back for the Demons off a couple of hands. McDonald did well. Turned away from Lockie Jones. Little 1-2 with Petty. And some time to think about his entry for the Demons. Up towards right half forward. Viney's found some space. Fresh off a season low, 13 touches, turns inside, wheeling the kick to the top of the goal square from behind Van Rooyen. Forced to knock it away from Malia, who kept his footing and barrels it out of there up towards the centre square. The D's have the numbers though. Shepherd from Petty, Salem gets the mark and straight back inside 50, pinpoint, hits up Alex Neil-Bullen straight in front, 40 out.
It's been a good start. We're seeing the contrasting styles of gameplay here. Melbourne are wanting to own possession and short kick, chip it up the ground. They've done quite a good job to get it into the hands of Neil-Bullen here, but you can see Port Adelaide just want to get the ball forward at all costs. They're running and gunning through the middle, like you said, Half.
One of 5 Crow Eaters out there tonight for the D's. The Glenelg product, Alex Neil-Bullen. Crosses centre half forward and leans back from 48. It's well off and sits up short as well.
Kicked it off his hip.
Left forward pocket, it's just carried over the boundary line. So out on the full in the end and a free kick to Willia. Port by 2 points.
Disgusting, I tell you. What the hell happened there?
Sure, he must have lost his footing because he absolutely corkscrewed it.
He did, yeah. Really odd.
Winds out of the back pocket. Speaking of corkscrews, up the line, Dixon through the pack, can't take it with him. Emerging his lever, handball forward to Neil-Bullen. Taken off it by Farrell, spilled to Pickett. His handball went looking for Clayton Oliver and missed the target by some kind of margin. It goes out for a throw-in. Demons attacking end of the ground up to the city end in this opening term. Joel Peterson, Aaron Bryans with you on ABC Sport. Kieran Peterson, Daniel Harford, your experts. 6 gone opening term. Port Adelaide with 2 minor scores to open us up. Not a big crowd in here at the MCG. Beautiful day in Melbourne though. Clear and calm winter's day. Butters takes a free kick from half-back. Drives Neil-Bullen in the tackle after he got a hand on the kick. Spills inside defensive 50 for the Power. Bergman goes through. Had it. Lost it. Houston picks it up and belts it into the middle.
Wobbler through the centre circle. Marshall caught behind Lever, who got a fist on it. Spills down and becomes the tackler. Big Todd on Judd McVie. 2 number 4s colliding. Port by 2. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Tossed into the air and Gawn gets his first mitt to it. Straight down the throat of Butters though, and Port Adelaide will get an entry. Hooking it around the body, Dixon underneath it, crunching in. McDonald threw his body on the line and it ricochets out to Ratanolea, who turns from 35 and shakes it. And at both ends of the ground, we've had some miserable goal scoring attempts out on the full.
That's a sign of what we've got in front of us. The 17 people here might disappear very early.
They might need to shield their faces before they do that, though, Half.
They might.
Especially if they're in the pockets, not behind the goals.
It's like we're parking your car at local footy. You always avoid behind the goals, but you can go to the pockets here, you get your windscreen smashed.
Driving kick out of defence for the Demons. He's marked by Petty, who juggles it in at half-back. Kicks it up the southern side through the hands of Bergman. Had Fritsch for company, brought it to ground. Fritsch stayed with it, tackled by Burgoyne. Free kick to the Power. And Jace Burgoyne, who's really established himself as part of this senior team for the Power, takes the free kick in line with the back edge of the centre square. 7.5 gone in the opening term. Power by 2 points. No goal on the board for either side as yet. Ratanolea was the target of the kick. Came off hand, spilled to Langdon. Handballed at the bootlaces of Salem. Oliver run down by Rosie. Jones comes in for the Power, interferes things southern wing. Rosie has another play that knocks it on to Butters, who's had a stack of it early. Defensive hand pass, misses the target. Pickett soccers it off the ground, keeps it in front of himself, opens things up as he hacks it inside the forward 50. Farrell a play at 35 out from his defensive goal. Viney slides past. Halir did well in defence. Desperate stuff for Jones. He left it behind. It spills to Fritsch. Thatcher gets a touch in the defensive goal square. And the D's open their account with a minor score through 8 minutes.
Butters up to 6 touches already, so As you mentioned, Joel, he's on fire to begin this game.
Thoughts of three-time All-Australian Karen Peterson there. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport, the Power by a point. Over at the Docklands, the Suns lead the Bombers by 6 as Farrell brings it back into play with a neat kick to Bergman. In the right back pocket. Send it up the spine, dangerously precarious kick for Horn Francis, knocked away from him by Fritsch, spills down towards Pickett, 30 from home, misses. They've been gifted opportunity after opportunity and neither side can cash in. Scores level at 2 behinds apiece, 8 played opening term.
We're going to be frustrated with that one. Pickett, he had far more time than what he allowed himself to kick a goal. He also had a couple of teammates running shotgun with him that he could have used as well, so he'd certainly want that moment back.
Dan Houston in from fullback. Could be somewhat of an audition for him tonight with question marks around his future at the Power. Now Bergman from defensive 50. Long up the line, but Gawn stands in the road as he so often does. It was an awkward kick back into the middle. Found its target in Lever. He whips it across the field to the members' side now for Billings. Billings has got Fritsch working at right half forward. Fashions the kick in that direction. He marks in front of the members. He's 2 kicks from home. Both teams looking for their first goal through 9.5 minutes.
Port flood back, so Fritsch will lob it up. High footy that'll drop 35 out. Underneath it, Petty had 2 to beat. Knocked away from him and Houston caught in a sandwich. Will get a ball up.
I haven't seen a lot of this stop play set up at the moment. It's a pretty free-flowing game, bouncing between the arcs at the moment. So a little bit of stoppage stuff to get some dominance around contests will be important for one of these teams.
Scores level. Petty got a hand on it in the ruck contest. Trickled down. Mead fumbled. Gathered by Neil Bullen. Got it towards Tolstrup and up into the 50. His kick is wayward. Bergman cut it off and spears it low and hard to Rosie. Skipper just inside defensive 50 as they switch towards the southern wing.
Burgoyne chips it over the top to Byrne-Jones. If you're lining up the two sides half in terms of the clearances, it's Port Adelaide's strength, and arguably over the last month it's been Melbourne's weakness.
Absolutely, and they're much deeper through the middle of the ground around the contest too, the Power at the moment, whereas the D's are searching for options. Rivers has been a great one they've found this year, but they are still lacking, obviously. Petrarca, Bracey's not there anymore. They've lost a couple of key cogs in that midfield.
Byrne-Jones with a searching kick to half forward. Goes back into dispute. And we have a ball up. Right half forward. Port Adelaide kicking to the punt road end in this opening term. The D's chain it away from stoppage through Sparrow and Neil Bullen. So 2 of the South Australians out there in Melbourne colours. Zerk Thatcher cuts it off for the Power. Now Rosie to Houston. He goes back inside the defensive 50 and sets things up to Bergman at centre half back.
Dinks it over the top to Horn Francis. Ricocheted off his shins. Has some time to gather on the broadcast wing. Closing was Billings. Almost affected the kick, but he did well. Under pressure, hits up Farrell just behind the logo. Wanted to hand it back to the Hornet, but Petty knew where it was going. The pace slowing down here at the G. 2 behinds apiece as Farrell heads towards the 50. Ratonale underneath it. Fisting was McDonald, spilled front and square to Evans. That's Francis, gathers. Low snap, tumbling its way towards Rioli. Had to beat Howes, ripped away from him, and McVie looking to clear, walked over the line. So we'll get a boundary throw in, 25 out, left forward pocket for the Power. Scores level at 2 behinds apiece, 11 played opening term.
The first real chance the Power have had to lock the ball in their forward third of the ground here. Everything's springboarded out every time they've gone in, or they've missed their opportunities in front of goal. So let's see what they can do and try and lock it in here.
Thoughts of Daniel Harford with you on ABC Sport. Gawn doesn't have a bar of that. He just whacks it out of there with a clenched fist. Spills to Pickett, who frees himself at the tackle and finds Viney in the centre of the ground, just behind halfway. Rolls onto his left boot, drives it inside the 50. Petty's there, coming across. Aliir brought it to ground, spilt to Chandler, now to Fritsch. Left foot snap, got it. And the D's with the stoppage goal from defensive 50. Some great work inside the arc, and Bailey Fritsch off that trusty left boot gets them going here at the G. 1-2-8, the Power 2 behinds, 12.5 gone, opening term, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Well, Melbourne did really well there. Port Adelaide were incredibly well set up behind the ball as that stoppage was being executed inside forward 50 for Port Adelaide. They had a +1 behind the ball. I think it was Aliir that was dropping off the back. So if Melbourne had to come out of there and just slammed it on their boot, probably would have ended up in a rebound 50, and instead it was able to drop short, and then they just absolutely sprinted away and ultimately got Port Adelaide caught them on the hop. We were able to be really clean with possession, and great finish there for Fritsch, but it was because of the work that they did coming out of the stoppage inside their D50.
Demons by 6. The thoughts of Karen Peterson there on ABC Sport. over at the Docklands. Scores level between the Bombers and the Suns at 2-2-14 apiece. Wayward bounce in the middle, so we'll toss it in the air through Brent Wallace. Dixon in the middle, comfortably beaten by Gawn, who took it out of the ruck and handed it Wayward. An errant one towards Boak. Now Port Adelaide will get an entry. High ball, Marshall charging out, threw his body into McVie and clunks it straight in front. Man on the mark will be bang on the 50.
Super grab from Marshall. It's a high ball. He's always going to work hard to get there. He's wanted to push about 30 metres to get to that ball. And strong eyes, as we say in the business. He was never going to let go of that ball. His eyes were fixated on it from the very start.
On return from a hip injury he suffered in round 18 and happy to recklessly throw himself out there. Has been goalless in his last 3 though. Not his best campaign. Todd Marshall loads up from 55. Monster kick. Falls just short. Gone on the behind line. Smacks it into the goalpost. And a minor score for the Power. Move them to 3 behinds. Melbourne 1-2-8. 14 played. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
ABC's Adam Tomlinson sends it back into play. Birthday boy today is Tomo, 31. Back into this Melbourne team. To Marty Hoare, the man from Leachville Gunbower. Another inclusion. Last time he played was against Port Adelaide back in round 3. Long kick up the line. Spills to Tolstrup. Handball forward. Knocked away. Logan Evans runs interference for the Power. So too does Farrell. Jones behind the wing. Handball to Boak. Crunched by Oliver. Got him immediately. Boak got the footy free. Back to Jones for the Power. And now to Boak, to Farrell all by hand, to Aliir, dangerous territory. Pickett had a hold of him, got the kick away, spills into the middle. Nice work from Marshall, handball forward to Boak. And now the Power will enter the 50. It's a high kick, it sits there for Radonalea, he couldn't quite take it. Tomlinson has a play with it at ground level to Salem, and now Rivers off half back for the D's.
Kick a little wide of Petty's on the chase, it's bouncing towards the boundary line and he's happy to shove Lockie Jones into it to force the pill over. Demons by 5, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
They're closing the space pretty well at the moment, the D's in general play, when the Power are trying to exit through handball chains. They're really pressing up high, come forward defencemen mindset, and one-on-one behind the ball. They put up a good show to this point, so if they can continue that for the remainder of the night, they'll be right in this.
Tossed in, Van Rooyen won it down to Rivers, the fend off on Horn Francis. Audacious as he gets it off to Van Rooyen. Quick kick that rolls up to half forward for the Demons, brushing off a couple of tacklers. Turner, disco, shoved and landed heavily. Almost a roll the way of breaking we saw overnight at the Olympics.
Oh, don't mention it, Adam. Oh, no.
Out on the full free kick to the Power.
Not wearing his tracksuit.
Yeah.
So bringing it back into play will be Aliir.
I think I could do that.
Driving it up the broadcast wing, the players converge. Radonalea in the middle of it. Knocked it down to Boat. Game 366 tonight. Ripped away from him. The Demons looking to go inside 50. Chandler got a kick away. Under pressure from Rosie. Fritsch had 3 to beat. Did enough. Brought it down. Viney at the back. Hands it to Neil Bullen. Langdon from 25. Snaps towards home. And slots it. Curling it into the Ponsford stand. The Demons up by 11. Port Adelaide fresh off a 112-point victory. Slow starters at the G. 2-2-14 the Demons. The Power 3 behinds. 16 played. Opening terms. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts Karen Peterson and Daniel Harford.
Well, that was a disaster defensively for the Powers. That ball came in, was kicked inside forward 50. They were +2 defensively, so they'd set the ground up really well, but weren't able to support each other as the ball came into that hotspot area about 30 metres out. As a result, the open side winger, Langdon, as he does so well, just runs the right patterns all night, was able to get to position and release, be the release option for them. But they'll be disappointed that the Power, they had ground coverage, they had numbers, advantage, but they weren't able to get the job done.
Ball back in the middle. Sweet coming up against Van Rooyen. Viney comes clear for the Demons. Left foot kick inside the 50. Fritsch the target up among 3. Brought it down. Tolstrup, he tried to squeeze it through. Almost did. Now it spills to Neil Bullen. He tries to go through the pack. Can't get the kick clear. Tolstrup's dragged down. Zerk Thatcher had it, lost it. Pickett was there. Fritsch on the behind line. Can't get it clear. Neil Bullen spins it into the post. They are pressing with some intent at the moment, Melbourne. They lead by 2 goals, 18 gone opening term. Down the road at Docklands, it's a shootout early between the Dons and the Suns. They're 3-2-20 apiece. Ben King with a couple for the visitors.
Dan Houston to bring it back into play. As Joel mentioned earlier, a chance to move to Melbourne in the off-season. To the outer wing he goes. Looking for Marshall, knocked away by Tomlinson. Picked up by Mead under pressure from Viney. Kicks it out on the full. Did his best to work away from the ball. But in the end, the veteran wins out. Melbourne with the footy. Langdon just forward of centre wing will retreat on the 45. Hits up Lever. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Daniel Harford, Karen Peterson with you tonight for Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Get some Olympic updates in a moment's time as well as we progress through the night. Down the line go the D's. Hitting the deck, Rivers in a 3-on-3. Hollywood handball over his head, didn't hit his target. And Mead will walk it over in the left forward pocket.
It's a good call before, Joel, about the forward 50 and who's looking more dangerous. Melbourne 10 ground balls in that zone to Port Adelaide's 4, so their defenders can't mop up at the moment, and it's the Demons' smaller players, mid-sized players that are causing havoc in that area of the ground.
Got a stoppage here inside forward 50. The D's up by 2 goals. Burgoyne. Handball to Mead. Oh, it's a shocking kick outside the defensive 50. Falls straight to the lap of Rivers. Kick and a half from home. Maybe not even that, given the power Trent Rivers has got. He's 60 metres out. Oh, it's an absolute grubber. It's a worm burner inside the forward 50. Tolstrup's on the end of it. Viney tackled. And Power take possession. That was an odd 30 seconds or so. Burgoyne kicks up the wing and Horne-Francis comes through the pack. How many midfielders in the competition can do that? He comes centrally and finds Logan Evans, who comes to the broadcast side now by foot to Boak.
Switches open them up. Boak looks on the 45 to Marshall. Fumbled the uncontested mark and closing now as McDonald did well. Knocked him off the ball. Rolled the kick up towards half forward and the D's had numbers waiting. The pressure winning out again and Pickett's kick is perfectly weighted to Petty. Too far out to score. He'll square it up attacking edge. Here's Fritsch. Wheels around from 60. Spots an empty goal square and decided to be courageous and go for home. Didn't have the distance. Alia's sitting back to cut it off. Chisels it short to Houston in defensive 50. The Demons by 12 here in the opening term. Still to 5 to play.
A great kick from Butters. Opens the field up from inside the defensive 50. Finds Frankie Evans. Off to Marshall. Off to Drew. 60 out. Horne-Francis all alone in the square. He marks at the point of the cage. And the Hornet will go back and surely kick the first for the Power.
By a long way, that was Port Adelaide's best passage of play for the day. They just clean ball movement and the courage to take that kick into the middle. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but on that occasion, higher risk, high reward. The higher reward's going to be Horne-Francis slots this one. Port Adelaide are away.
27 and a goal last week for Jason Horne-Francis. What a player he is becoming. Oh, and he makes the goal umpire work, but he just sneaks it in. And the Power are on the board in a major sense. 1-3-9 plays the Demons 2-3-15. 21 gone, opening term, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
That's how dangerous they are when they can get the game on their terms, Kez, as you say. That's exactly what Port Adelaide are trying to do from defensive half of the ground. Get it back through the middle, get an overlap handball, and then get it in at speed. Just watching that ahead of the ball as it was transitioning. They went small ball deep, the Power. They had Rioli and Horne-Francis, the two deepest players. And as soon as that ball got past the centre, Rioli came up to the ball, to the leg, lead to the leg sort of situation, and Horne-Francis went straight back to the top of the square. So they had two options for the kicker coming in. Just great chemistry as a duo from those two players.
They're able to do it as well because the likes of Marshall is prepared to push up to the wing and allow space behind him. So when you've got forwards, big forwards that are used to being the key target, get up the ground, they allow Horne-Francis to go one out. It's pretty dangerous.
Thoughts of former Carlton coach Daniel Harford and current skipper Karen Peterson there on ABC Sport. Out of the middle, Langdon gets the clearance for Melbourne. Charging out to meet it, Lockie Jones brought it to ground. Boak head over the footy, finally gets it out. Handball thrust towards Sweet, who lobbed it up in the air for Tolstrup to get across Mead. Thumps it towards Gawn, 50 out. He'll give it to Neil Bullen, looking wide. Billings was alone, but he fumbled, has to tow it forward, and Port have the numbers. Bergman leaves it for Zerk Thatcher, rushed his kick unnecessarily, and it's an awkward bounce for Drew. We're 40 home from the D. Overhead from Sparrow, looking for Viney as a couple of raindrops here at the G. Langdon becomes the tackler, holds up Rosie. We'll get a ball up, 25 out. Was it rain, Joel, or was it
I think
birds?
you need to clean your binoculars.
I reckon it might have been the birds.
Seagulls. They look similar, raindrops and seagulls, in fairness.
I think more was coming out of them, to be honest.
It's heavy rain.
I wouldn't want to be caught under it. Here's Neil Bullen, who gets dragged down by Butters. And we'll have a ball up inside forward 50 for the D's. They lead by a kick. 23 gone opening term. Zach Butters He has had a prolific opening term. 8th disposal is a clearance up toward the southern wing. Wines chasing after it. Salem's there for Melbourne. He gathers. Handball back to McVee. Off his left peg. Kicks toward half forward. Logan Evans made the space. Nudged Neil Bourne under the footy. Picked up by Mead. Handball off to Farrell, who whacks it to half forward. Radunalea out the back. Handball to Burne-Jones. Can he dribble it home? That's a terrific finish. That is clinical from Darcy Burne-Jones. And the Power go the length of the ground in an instant to tie things up. 2-3-15 apiece, 24 gone, opening term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Kes Peterson and Daniel Harford.
Well called. It was a terrific finish by Burne-Jones. Really interesting. The stat that's really popping out is the inside 50s. Melbourne 15-9. It just shows the difference at the moment. Melbourne are being really wasteful going forward. They're fumbly, and it's not due to the Port Adelaide's great defence. It just seems to be the way that Melbourne just aren't able to have possession at the moment. When it ping-pongs out of there the way it is, the speed that Port Adelaide are putting on the ball is allowing them to have a completely open, wide 50, which is allowing the players, the likes of Burne-Jones, to run into space and to use his skill and creativity and finish the way that he's going at the moment. So a really contrasting style, and Melbourne to be kicking themselves, but contrastly, Port Adelaide be, I think, pretty happy with where they are at the moment.
It's a great point, Kes. The springboarding back in, the repeat entries are helpful for Melbourne. If you can't score from them, transition will get you every time.
Bounce in the middle favoured Gawn, but he knocked it straight to Logan Evans, bursting off half back, penetrating kick inside 50, cut off by a couple of Ds, spills down the Rivers, spun a full 360 by Mead, and was let go for a while, so we got the handball out to Salem, and now Chandler at left half back. Almost polar opposite to their meeting round 3 earlier this year. The Ds won by 7, but Port significantly dominated the scoring opportunities, but kicked 13-11. Similar to what Brisbane did earlier today against the Giants.
Story of their year a little bit.
Inaccuracy has plagued them. Langdon now for the Ds, driving it down the outer wing, kick perfect, floating across Turner. No one on him as he opens the angle. Inside 50, outnumbered is Billings, and the easy height mismatch for Aaliyah to float across and cut it off for the Power. Scores level, 2-3-15 apiece. Time on in the opening term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Butters inside the defensive 50, accepts it from Aaliyah. A rare turnover, gives it back to Turner. And they'd hope the Demons fans he makes a better decision this time. Maybe doesn't kick the Jack Billings in a one-on-one. He's got Petty at the top of the square. He drops the kick into the pocket. Fritsch goes up. Butters stays down. Kicks it straight into Langdon. This time he can't keep it in that left forward pocket. Ed Langdon. It slides over and it'll be thrown back in. 26 gone opening term. All square at 15 apiece. At Docklands closing in on quarter time. Good game unfolding there. The Suns by 1. 4-3 plays 4-2.
Not a great crowd in tonight, but I think it'll be better than the Giants a couple of weeks ago. Toss back in. Turner won it down. Mead was there to pounce. Hands it to Zerk Thatcher. Exiting kick for Port Adelaide. A hit and hope. Bouncing in front of Hoare. One-on-one with Horn Francis. And he's bowled over by the young superstar. Horn Francis chips over the top to Marshall, and he's cleaned up with a late fist too high. 55 out. Wants to move it. Pops it to the goal square. Dixon's one out with Gawn. And the big ruckman got front position and held his ground. The D's skipper strong at the top of the defensive goal square to cut it off. Scores remain level at 2-3-15 apiece.
That's the challenge for Dixon. 2 years ago, he would have jumped to put his knees into Max's ribs, but he can't jump anymore. He couldn't even get body on him.
Great stuff from Gawn. Used his length to his advantage. Kick clear of the defensive 50. Out of zone umpires paid a free kick going the way of Petty. Comes short to Billings. 2-3 apiece. Jack Billings, first season as a D. Goes as long and as hard as he can up the line. Petty was the target in the end, having given the footy to him. It's off his hands, taken by Boak to Drew, to Rosie. Beautiful looping forward, hand pass from Drew. Now to Marshall, whacks it inside the 50, says Charlie have another go, and Lever comes across to spoil decisively for Melbourne, but it spills now to Mead. He's at left half forward. Handball back to Boak, another entry, another target of Dixon, and that one's dropped right to the bucket for him. And Charlie Marks, 45 metres out, 5 paces in from the boundary in the left forward pocket.
What a luxury it is to have someone the likes of Travis Boak playing behind the ball in that half back line. He just floated into the right spot. No opposition was anywhere near him, and he was able to pull off a kick across his body to find Dixon leading into the pocket. Great kick.
He'll have the last kick of the quarter, Charlie Dixon. Can he make it count? from right on the 50. He leaves it narrow, but he does hand his side a quarter-time lead. Demons with the first 2 goals of the ball game. The Power with the next 2. They lead early and they lead at quarter-time, Port Adelaide. 2-4-16 to the D's, 2-3-15.
Goal scorers at the first change, all individuals. So Langdon, Fritsch and Horne-Francis. Over at the Docklands, tight game there as well, which you can hear on the ABC Listen app through the AFL button. The Suns lead the Bombers by a point with 2 minutes to go in the opening term. Ben King has 2. And singles to Harrison Jones, Jai Menzies, Sam Flanders, Nate Caddy and Jake Stringers. So tight game there and plenty to play for considering the results we had earlier today. The Giants defeating the Lions by 18, the Eagles defeating North by 5 and Geelong knocking off Freo by 11. Plenty still to come. We're going to let you know what's happening at the Olympics in a moment as well. But wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, Sport Digital or the ABC Listen app, this is Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Looking for an easy way to find out what's happening in the world of sport? Stay up to date with the week's best sports stories, highlights and analysis with the ABC Sport newsletter.
Oh, that is amazing!
It's sports content to make you think or allow you not to. Delivered to your inbox every Saturday.
Game, set, bingo!
To sign up and get the latest sports news each week, head to abc.net.au/connect, scroll down and select ABC Sport. This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On ABC Radio,
ABC Sport Digital. And take us with you on the ABC Listen app.
look for the AFL button.
The Saturday night showdown between the D's and the Power. Early way it's going the way of Port Adelaide. Just the 1 point separating the two sides. 2-4-16 to 2-3-15. A top 2 spot on the line for Port Adelaide. After the Lions fell short against the Giants earlier today, they were up by 30 points at quarter time and blew it. GWS winners by 18, and Geelong knocking off Freo by 11 has certainly helped Melbourne have some belief, considering their difficult mathematical chance from here. They'd need to win every game and hope things go their way, but the Dockers losing has left the door ajar. We'll give you an Olympic update in a moment's time as we look to continue our coverage of the Paris Olympics. Plenty's been happening overnight. I'm sure you've caught it, but if you haven't, check out what happened in the breaking because it was an event in itself. And on top of that, we've got a couple of medals on the line tonight. So the water polo and also Jess Hull racing as well on the track. So we'll get an update in a moment's time from team watching the Paris Olympics. But for now, Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans and Joel Peterson with you for the call. And to wrap up what was and I guess uneventful opening term, Daniel Harford, Karen Peterson, your experts this evening.
Yeah, it's just a game of 2 different styles, isn't it, at the moment? Kes picked it up beautifully through that first term. Port Adelaide at the moment are trying to get transition scores. That's similarly the way that they want to play. Melbourne want to play forward half, repeat forward 50 entries and hit the scoreboard, put pressure on the opposition in that regard. But they just haven't been able to get reward for their efforts when they have been able to get the ball in their forward half and lock it in and get that ball back in. And once we see Port Adelaide with a little bit of space coming out of defensive 50, if they can get a free player through the middle of the ground, it's really difficult to stop them. They've seen that both their goals be transition goals. That's the challenge for the Demons tonight.
I'll get the thoughts of Karen Peterson in a moment, but Lauren Borden standing by to update us on the Paris Olympics. Good evening, Loz.
Hello, Az. It's nice to be chatting to you on Saturday Night Footy. We're all pretty excited in Olympics HQ at the moment for water polo and for the Stingers to go into the gold medal match. They defeated the US in that gripping penalty shootout to send the US out of the gold medal match. But not only that, the USA have just been beaten by the Netherlands in the bronze medal match. So it's one of the first times they haven't ever recorded a medal in the water polo at the Olympics, and it's the Australians that defeated them yesterday to send them into that bronze medal match. The Aussies will take on Spain just a little later on tonight. About 11 p.m. is when the Stingers will head into action against Spain. As I mentioned, Zoe Arancini, the captain there, she's the veteran of the water polo team, and she'll be leading them into that match. So I think that's a good little chance for us. We've got the 18 medals, Aaron, to move up and take another one tonight. We had the men's marathon a little earlier, where it was Pat Tiernan who actually recorded an Australian record at the Olympics. He went above Robert De Castella's time, so he was able to quicken the time of that, and that record from De Castella has stayed for the Australians since LA in 1984. So it's been a long time there, with Tamarat Tola taking the win in the men's marathon. That was an Olympic record as well. So a very quick marathon being run a little earlier on today. We've had the modern pentathlon. Unfortunately, our competitor Genevieve Janssen van Rensburg, she won't be making it into the final. But isn't that just a great Olympic event when you've got fencing and swimming and the laser run and equestrian all combined into one at the Palace of Versailles? But we won't have an Australian in the final. And then athletics coming up as well tonight. So we've got the javelin throw with Mackenzie Little and Catherine Mitchell. Stuart McSwain's in the 5,000 final. The 1,500 metre final. Surely Jess Hull's a medal chance in that one. Track cycling as well. There's the basketball finals coming up. There's plenty on tonight, Aaron, as we head back to you at the footy at halftime. But a lot to look forward to in the Olympics tonight.
Glad we've got you there to keep an eye on it all, because it is quite chaotic. There's plenty happening, but how good for Australia to continue to medal as we head towards the back end of the Paris Olympics. And as Loz touched on, an incredible story there for the US women's water polo team. 3-time defending champions and didn't even medal. Great news for us Stingers, though. And for our listeners in South Australia, we will take you to our coverage of the Paris Olympics at the conclusion of this game here at the MCG. Port by 1. Kez, how did you see the opening quarter?
Not as exciting as the quarter-time break. We had a proposal down in the city goal square, so that was probably the most entertaining thing.
And a yes.
And
well, that's
yes.
the important part.
Most importantly, it was a good result. No, look, the first quarter was pretty even in the end. Melbourne kicked the first 2 and Port Adelaide were able to fight themselves back into that quarter. I think where Melbourne need to improve is taking a mark inside their forward 50. They had 17 inside 50 entries and only 1 mark. So there's probably to blame both for the midfielders and the forwards. The entries were pretty ordinary, to be honest, so they're going to need to tidy that up, give their forwards a better opportunity heading it to goal.
Consistency is key on the run home. Port Adelaide wouldn't want to drop this one. Up by 1, high bounce in the middle. Gawn wins it down, putting it in the path of Pickett. Winds right behind him, hard, wrapped him up. Ball shot out to McVie. It was a throw. And a free kick going to the Power. And the Brownlow medalist in Ollie Wines. Close to centre half back. Prolific the last month of footy for Ollie Wines, averaging 30 touches in the last 3. As the depth continues to shine for Port's midfield, he spears it down the line to Dixon. Lace out, he'll turn. Heave it towards the goal square. Marshall got an early sit. Mistimed the drop. Horne-Francis there waiting though. Pounces, kick nudged by Lever. Finds its way to the left forward pocket and Burgoyne outmatched. Langdon there and Tomlinson as he rolls the ball in the McDonald direction. Dixon first to it. Left half forward. Brushes off Viney with ease. And Logan Evan is clotheslined for his troubles as he tries to pick up the pill. Left half forward for the Power. They're about to go inside 50.
So Evans, what can he find? A searching kick. It's bashed down by Lever, but Horne-Francis might be first back there. Collects in the right forward pocket, hands it off to Rioli. We know he can finish. On this occasion, he just tugs his kick a little bit too far to the left. Minor score gives Port Adelaide a 2-point lead. Minute gone, second term. Just at that game at Docklands 2. Suns by a point at quarter time. Darcy Parish had 15 disposals in the opening quarter.
He's back all right.
Back in a big way. Clayton Oliver's just had 3 here.
Speaking of, Christian Salem on return from a hamstring injury just had disposal number 9, sending it up to right half back. And Gawn's not happy with the contact from Jordan Sweet, who's taken over the shoulder, and a bit of words after. He'll take the footy, the D skipper, and hand it to Tomlinson, surging by. Up the southern wing, kicks a little too heavy for Turner. Waiting at the back was Farrell on the bounce. Plenty of time to think about the switch. Not a lot on offer though, so he has to bang it back where it came from. Through the logo on centre wing. Dixon came late with the hand. Knocked it down. Little wide of Sparrow. Picked up by Burgoyne. Thrust it on the snap and it's going to bounce perfectly. Rioli's waiting at centre half forward. Walks into the 50 and chisels it into the right forward pocket to Horne-Francis. He's looking dangerous up forward. The Hornet has it tight in the pocket, 10 out.
Great connection again between those two. He was leading patterns the first quarter for a goal for the Power, and then Rioli knew exactly what he had to do. Just put it out in front. His speed's too good. He's too quick. Horne-Francis in a one-on-one. He'll get to the front if he wants to. Career
best season in front of goal. Jason Horne-Francis opens the angle and snaps through his second. Porter up by 8. 3-5-23. He plays 2-3-15. 3 minutes played in the second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Karen Peterson and Daniel Harford with you for the call.
It's remarkable how many times that Horne-Francis' opponent goes to ground. That didn't happen in that occasion, but the one before, he just turned his opponent inside out in the contest, and he's the one who ends up making a 2-on-1 because he can keep his feet. But he's by far the most dangerous looking forward on the ground half you mentioned. He's just too quick for his opponent, and Melbourne have got a real problem. Their defence in transition at the moment is really poor. It was Rioli who found himself in a paddock of space out here on the wing, and I don't know whether it was because he held his space and his opponent went in and got too close to the contest, got sucked in, and just found himself out free, and it was a 2-on-3 going forward. It's not going to be good news for Melbourne defenders on those occasions.
6th occasion this season. Jason Horne-Francis has got multiple goals. Gawn does the clearance work for Melbourne, but handed it straight to Logan Evans for the Power, who shakes and bakes in the centre of the ground, kicks inside forward 50. Dixon ran past it, spilled to Burn-Jones, throws a kick at goal, and misses away to the right-hand side. It all opened up for Darcy Burn-Jones. He just couldn't finish, but the Power are surging. They lead by 9 points, 4 gone second term.
Didn't read my script. 4 goals, 4 hyphens that would have been for the Power. Have to have a hyphen kick a goal for them tonight, it seems.
Tomlinson to McDonald, and now Salem in the right back pocket.
Brandon Zerk-Thatcher's just sitting his full back going, yes, please.
He's itching.
Shares it with Sparrow, now McVie. Right half back on the southern side. The D's kicking to the left-hand side of your radio dial. Down by 9. McVie leans back on the kick. Throw a blanket over them on the drop. Front and square was Aaliyah. Knocked it down, looking for Viney. Not looking for him, but found him. Up against his opposing number 7. Brushes off Logan Evans as well. Quick kick towards the 50. Clunked by Van Rooyen. Had the height mismatch with Farrell. Wants to go quick. Squaring ball. 20 out. Across came Billings with the fist. Trying to knock it towards Pickett. Marshall's there. Smacked it over the line deliberately.
Yeah, he was trying to get it through for a point. He missed.
Todd Marshall, the offender. And Melbourne get a chance on goal from the tightest of angles. Cozzy Pickett, deep left forward pocket.
He's the last bloke you want having this shot, if you're the Power.
Pickett hooks it through from the tight angle. Bit of magic from the D's superstar. And back down to a 3-point game. Melbourne 3-3-21, trailing Port Adelaide 3-6-24. 5 minutes into the second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Carlton skipper Karen Peterson and a former coach, Daniel Harford.
I reckon that's a byproduct, that goal. It was a bad decision in the end by Marshall, but it's a byproduct of the pressure that the ground level players are providing for Melbourne inside their forward 50. We mentioned through the first quarter their ability to get the loose balls in that area of the ground, but it's also their pressure and the perceived pressure that creates on defenders in that area for the Power. And that was purely, Marshall knew the Pickett was coming. He didn't know what to do. We got close to the boundary line, tried to get it through for the behind and reset for the Power, but missed on the back of the pressure provided by the Smalls. Well done to the D's.
Clayton Oliver on the phone downstairs. We start in the middle. Sweet decisively down to Wines, who farms it up to his childhood mate in Jack Viney. Gets it moving forward for Melbourne. Rivers was clever, didn't take possession, slapped it onto Billings. Now to Neil Bullen, kick inside the forward 50. Pickett. Well, he was intelligent there to know that Bergman was coming at a rate of knots. And Bergman takes the mark inside the defensive 50 for the Power. Immediately elects to move it on. Long kick up the broadcast side wing to the logo. Radonalea and McDonald link up. It spills to Sparrow. Puts Melbourne back inside forward 50. Aaliyah with a decisive fist over the top of Turner. Straight to Neil Bullen. Whacks it goalward. Bergman's back there. Takes the mark. Runs into the point post. Spins the padding around. And he'll take the kick from the left back pocket.
Just the required 15 of Farrell. Left back pocket. Close to the boundary line to Burgoyne. Port Adelaide by 3 points here at the MCG. Over at the Docklands, the Bombers by 5 over the Suns. Long ball from Port Adelaide down the line. Sweet. Clunks it unopposed. Hands it off to Butters running by. Little hot handball in the path of Houston. Ran out of room with Salem coming the other way. Pulled out. Lockie Jones, though, does enough. Wrenches it away. Looping handball for Dixon. Trying to find Drew. Wines in the end it was. Flung it out. Not sure it was a clean handball. They get away with one. Burgoyne retreats to Houston, forward of the logo. Back to Burgoyne, bit of space, close to left half forward. Darts it inside 50, low and hard through the hands of Butters. Francis Evans kicks smothered. Head over the footy, Tomlinson flung it out towards Sparrow. Back to Tolstrup, quick exit. Launching himself was Viney, was he tunnelled? In the end, he almost blocked Lockie Jones and has given away the free kick as he threw his body into that marking contest. Lockie Jones towards the 50 for the Power. Radonalea his target. Almost outmarked there by Tomlinson, who rushes the kick, rolling it out to halfback.
Van Rooyen slides past it. It's all the Power. Wines or Boak. Nice option. In fact, it's Houston who picks it up. Comes centrally. Well done from Pickett to get a fist on the kick intended for Drew. Spilt 2 wines. Then Drew chisels it to half forward. Rosie will load up and head for home. Who's in the square? Gawn's there. Brings it down. Tomlinson. Gawn was impeded. And Big Max, the skipper's got it in the defensive goal square. Power by 3 points. 8.5 gone second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. D's in front at Docklands. They get the first of the second term to lead by 5.
Big Max to the right back pocket to Langdon. Fresh off a 4-year extension during the week for the D's. Perfectly weighted in the path of Neil Bullen, who can turn and go. Burgoyne closing with some pace. Gets the kick down the line anyway. And hits up Turner. Too far out to score for Melbourne. They're flooding forward to give him some options. Not confident in any of them, so he'll sky it into the 50. It'll drop 20 out. Van Rooyen uses the body, nearly reeled it in. At the back, Bergman runs through the defensive goal square. Had to be tight with his kick. It's close to the boundary line, but drops well into the hands of Sweet at right half back. Port by 3. 9 played, second term, Saturday night footy on ABC Sports.
Yeah, it was well defended by Port Adelaide. Then Melbourne were moving in transition, and they outworked their Melbourne opponents, get back and help their defenders, so that really well worked.
Sweet up the line. Burne-Jones got a hand to it, but it was all the Demons. Salem to Viney to Chandler. Tries to slide the kick along the boundary line and does it expertly. Marked by Van Rooyen just inside the chalk, deep in the left forward pocket.
Just numbers of the contest up here at half forward for the Demons. They're seemingly looking to outnumber up, particularly in the forward half of the ground, try and get the half forwards really high and outnumber the power defenders and midfielders, and that was the reason they were able to get out the front of that stoppage. And a beautiful kick. Had they gone long to the square, Power had extra defenders, come up to the lead.
Goalless last week, the emerging young forward. And he's just hit the fat side of the footy a little bit there and put it right across the face, out of bounds on the full. It's marked by Jace Burgoyne on the last line, and he'll take the kick, chip it into Jones, and the Power are moving again.
Looks inside to Houston, all in the defensive 50 here, left back pocket. And Houston now to left half back. Presenting was Bergman, close to the boundary line. Another Victorian who may find a new home in a couple of years' time. Kick had to be accurate. Hits Alia and releases Horn Francis, who arches the back and takes a couple of bounces. Bursting away from Van Rooyen, who could not catch him. The kick was horrific, though. Banged it into the 50. Wide and long in the end of Ratanolea. And it bounces over the line for a boundary throw in, 20 out.
Would have loved him to go another 30, 40 metres in, Horn Francis. He had the space in front of him. Pulled the trigger to a player leading to the pocket. Run to the corridor, draw a defender, and have an easy little chip over the top.
I love the fact that he doesn't look like he will be quick, and then he just bursts away.
Yeah.
Socks up, the hair. He just looks like an old school country footballer almost. And he's got a real approach. You just watch and marvel. He's clear it outside the defensive 50. They've worked it nicely here. Tolstrup, handball over to Neil Bullen to Fridge. There is nothing in front of centre half forward for Melbourne. It was all Port Adelaide. And Houston stands in the road. Off to Francis Evans. Now to Rosie inside the defensive 50. Had Farrell or Bogue to pick from. And he elects Kane Farrell, the super boot. Comes short to Bogue. Goes equal with the great Bernie Quinlan tonight, Travis Bogue, in terms of games played. Diagonal kick found Alia. Opens the field up for the Power. Now Rosie inside forward 50. Rioli flies against the tall timber. Brings it to ground. Tomlinson. Handball to McDonald. Handball to Hoare in the back pocket for Melbourne. Neat kick over the top. Finds Chandler just outside defensive 50.
Had an overlap option in Petty. He's still waiting for it. Of centre wing. Finally uses him. Driving the kick, and Tolstrup floats in front to cut it off. Harrison Petty couldn't buy a touch at the moment. Tolstrup. Game number 8. Deep kick towards the 50. Coming out is Alia. Whistle before the ball drop. Free kick. Hold going the way of Turner. Left half forward. Tacking edge of the square. Goes inside. Long kick. Pickett. Used the body to edge out Burgoyne, who wasn't happy with the contact. Both hands on the back, but no clear push. And Cozzy Pickett won't waste any time. One step, snap, goal. Bang, bang. Consecutive majors to put the D's in front off the boot of Cozzy Pickett. Melbourne moved to Fort 3-27, Port 3-6-24. 12 played second term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Their experts, 3-time All-Australian Karen Peterson, 150 game Hawk Daniel Harford.
Well, those at the ground who support Melbourne would be happy that that ball landed in Pickett's hands, because he was on his own for what seemed an absolute eternity inside forward 50 without an opposition opponent running with him. Turner, probably the criticism of him tonight is that he's gone too slow inside forward 50. He probably could have rolled and gone to the one-on-one. In the end, it worked out okay for him because Pickett was good enough to take the mark anyway. But I reckon as a forward, particularly a small forward, if you're one out or you find yourself with a paddock of space, you just want that ball to come in nice and quickly. So I reckon Pickett might get to Turner there and just say, mate, just give it, put it to space and let me go to work. But in the end, it all worked out okay.
D's back in front, third lead change of the night. Oliver hunting the footy in the middle at the restart. Hands it up to Gawn on the bounce. Try to give it back to Salem. Got it there eventually to Rivers. Loops the handball out wide. Langdon runs in. All power. Turnover. Mead takes it away right on halfway. Blazes the kick inside the forward 50. Rioli and McVie. McVie did well. Who was holding who? Umpire says Rioli was holding McVie. And the young demon from Geraldton will take the free kick. Chips it short to Salem, who's had plenty of it upon return for the Demons. Such an important link player. Have their defensive 50. Tries to find Billings by foot. Good enough to accept some body contact from Boak and juggle in the mark. Billings has got it in front of the members at left half-back. D's by 3. 14 gone second term.
Long down the line. Billings to centre wing. Petty. Strong contested grab in front of Zerk Thatcher and wants to go. Eyeing off the 50. Kick in the direction of Turner. Big fist of Aaliyah. Spilled down to DJ. The disco man gives it off to Neil Bowen. Now to Chandler. Tried to feed him, but a bit too hot with the handball. Put it in his path and it bounces over the boundary line. 45 out, left forward pocket. Demons up by 3 and attacking. Over at the Docklands, the Bombers lead by 6 over the Suns. Still 13 to play there. And the text line, if you want to get in touch, 0437 774 774. As tops back into play, Gawn looked to take it out of the ruck and in the end flung it in the direction of Billings. Head over the footy, caught one high from Horn Francis. Ball up to come. Umpire deemed that he kind of threw himself in there. Good call from Hayden Devine as it's looped into the air. Gawn again takes it out of the ruck against Dixon, and the skipper skies at top of the goal square. 3-on-3. Petty put it down. Was on his chest. Burgoyne roves it, handed it to Houston. Hospital handball. Jones now stripped of it by Fritsch. Melbourne keep pressing and Port Adelaide keep finding the answer. Farrell's kick smothered by Salem. Ricochets towards the boundary line. 45 out. Burgoyne looking for Lockie Jones. He's brought down. Fritsch now goes the fend off on Francis Evans. Handball inside. Releases Salem. And they looked for the answer and didn't get it. As he kicks around the body from 25 and it's a minus score. Melbourne did everything right to try and force it through for a major and just couldn't get the chocolates.
That's that forward pressure again, though. Really good stuff from the D's. When they're hunting like this, they are a very potent team.
Playing with some real vigour at the moment. This Demon squad. Jones accepts the kick in for the Power. It's a Farrell. Now to Burgoyne. Of course, another one on the way. Brother Rome coming through the South Australian Under-18 Academy. A couple of father-son prospects lying wait for the Power, with Louis Montgomery eligible for the draft this year. A couple more Burgoynes on the way. Salopek impressing in the under-15s recently, so there's plenty to like in the father-son prospects for the Power. Good pressure on the wing on the outer side.
Yeah, this is great for the D's.
Kate Chandler forces the smother there, and the ball goes out on the southern wing for a ball in.
They've stopped the flow. Port Adelaide haven't been able to transition the ball very effectively at all in the second term.
So 22 tackles to 24 in the game so far, but Melbourne have been able to lock it inside their forward 50. 17 gone second turn. They lead by 4. At the stoppage, they'll get the clearance. High kick toward half forward. Tolstra nudged Logan Evans under it. Takes the mark, 52 from home. The young West Aussie spins it in his hands as he waits for an option to present. Thought about going defensively, but he will drive it inside the 50. Petty will be the target. Turner's up as well. Turner brought it down. D's wait at the fall. Viney to Billings, back to Viney, runs in an arc, gets on his left, hooks it back toward goal, won't have the carry. Fritsch went up on the behind line, couldn't drag it in. And a minus score for the D's makes their lead 5.
And that's their challenge at the moment, Joel, that the D's get the ball outside the arc and they can't penetrate it with any great accuracy or control. And they've got to find a way to get the ball, if it's outside the arc, get it to 30 to 40, someone just a little chip kick and have a shot from there from a set shot. They haven't had any of those opportunities tonight.
Todd Marshall's in all sorts behind the play. So as that pack converged, he's copped a stray knee to the back of the head. Looks very wobbly. As he popped back up, he was clutching his scone. Trainers circling to try and get him off as he jogs towards the bench. So big concerns for Todd Marshall. He's had a history of concussions at Port Adelaide and returned from a hip injury most recently, but he might lose another talisman here with Mitch Georgiadis out for the next fortnight with a quad. They've moved it methodically up the broadcast wing on Francis to Butters, now Boak. Kick away from a score, right half forward. As Marshall makes his way over the boundary line. Boak close to the boundary line, looking for Dixon. Coming in late was Radonalea. Completely collapsed the pack with force and gave away a free kick as he bowled over Gawn. Free kick to the D skipper. On the text line, Robin Greensborough says, Clayton Oliver looks better suited to the rugby sevens. Hasn't managed to land an actual fist in any of his handballs tonight. He's only had 3 touches, Rob, so it hasn't been many to really pick from. Now they look to exit Melbourne. Petty front position, knocked away from him over the boundary line. So the D's by 5, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Karen Peterson and Daniel Harford with you.
It's a lot of Petersons.
We're outnumbered here, Half. We've got to look after each other.
Never have too many, Daniel. Never have too many. Well, our family functions have beg to differ.
Well, exactly right. You've told me about Christmas.
He's gone in the ruck. Sweet got rid of him illegally. Marshall's gone down into the rooms, by the way. So Gawn at left half back for the D's. Chips it short and finds Billings. 4-5 plays 3-6. 19 and a half gone second term. D's in charge as far as the scoreboard is concerned. Oh, Turner attacks it.
Shows a bit, this kid.
At pace. Comes in centrally to Marty Hall, who debuted against Port Adelaide back in round 1 of 2019.
Oh,
he's turned it over. He was looking for Lever with the kick. And Lever got an arm across the shoulder of Francis Evans. He's going to be much back behind the mark. A little bit of Keystone Cop stuff between those two. Evans hands it off to Bergman. Bergman's kick to half forward. Horn Francis the target. McVie right there with him. And then it's socket off the ground by Billings. It's unfortunate he was pushed as he kicked out of bounds on the full. Boak will take it from right half forward for the Power.
His work by foot tonight's been magnificent. Travis Boak, he's picked good options.
This will be tough. 50's flooded. Sends it to the top of the goal square. Radonalea nearly clunked it. Front square Butters bursts out of the pack and shanked it.
Why did he run to the pocket?
All alone, 5 out, and he's missed on the right-hand side. It was prolific play from Zach Butters, but just couldn't cap it off. D's by 4. 3-7-25. The Power trail Melbourne 4-5-29. Time on in the second. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. And over at the Docklands, the Suns lead the Bombers by 7.
First score in 16 minutes for the Power. Petty presents again. Done it a couple of times tonight.
That was gifted a goal.
Perceived pressure, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an incredible thing that both teams are suffering from it, particularly close to goal tonight.
5 marks already for Harrison Petty. Kicks down the line. Alia shoved Van Rooyen into it. Good enough to get a hand to it. Bring it down to Chandler. 1-2 with Langdon. Chandler whips his left foot kick high up the southern side. And it'll fall into the lap of Horn Francis. But it takes the mark for the Power underneath the Shane Warne stand. 21 and a half gone second term. Just the 1 goal in this term for Port. 2 for the D's. Power led by 2 points at quarter time. Melbourne have hit the front here as Port Adelaide bring it across half back. Bergman. Zerk Thatcher got Neil Bullen out of his boots and then chisels the kick down the line. And Radonalea marks in front of McDonald in line with the front edge of the centre square.
Had Butters floating by, hands it off to him. And the ABC Footballer of the Year sends it inside 50. He was looking for Sweet. Coming in late, Van Rooyen got a hand in. The big ruckman puts his head over it. Had 5 to beat. And the Demons win out. A wobbler from Van Rooyen. Defensive edge of the square. Turner threw his body on the line, launching into the pack. Spilled down and Bergman run down. Too casual. They had the numbers. He took his time looking for the entry. And Cozzy got him. Kick is a little treacherous though. Trying to find McDonald. Spilled down a Sparrow. Overhead handball back to Big Tom. Now Jack Billings through centre wing broadcast side. Spots Fritsch down the line. Houston came in late with a hand and knocks it over the boundary line. Just outside the 50. The Demons by 4. And pressing hard here at the MCG.
Joel Peterson, Aaron Bryans calling it for you on ABC Sport. Kes Peterson, Daniel Harford, your experts. 15 disposals for each of Salem and Butters. Game high. Jack Billings has had 15 as well for the D's. Clearance for the Power. Kick up toward Radon-Leia. Slipped over at the critical moment. Dixon up attacking the footy. Left it behind. Free kick. Going to the Demons in front of the members. McVee to take it. Chips in field to Sparrow. To Lever. Oh, he just worked his way through Butters and Burne-Jones. It was brilliant. Almost turned it over. Kick landed on the head of Logan Evans. Slapped away but came up with it. Horne-Francis. He got it to Burne-Jones. Burne-Jones rolls. Kicks to the pocket. Rioli kept his feet where Hoare couldn't. Collects 40 metres from home. A moment to steady. To snap. But he can't score. At least in a major sense. Leaves it narrow. Another behind for the Power. They trail by 3.
Teammate sitting in the corridor 25 metres out. Directly in front too from Willie. That wasn't Willie good.
First dad joke of the night. Port 3-8.
Plenty to come.
Earlier in the season they went 13-11 against the D's. Exiting kick from Melbourne. Zerk Thatcher front position, knocked it down. Burne-Jones wrestling with Oliver. Spills out towards Wines. Diving handball back to Farrell. And the Farrell barrel inside 50, trying to find Dixon, knocked away by Tomlinson. Butters head over it. Jostling for position with Lever. Came out to Chandler. Handball smothered. Got a second bite. Finds Sparrow. Now Howes and Viney. Kick smothered by Horne-Francis. Shoots up into the air. Winds at the drop. Left it behind and a tackle laid to hold things up. As Big Max Gawn gets his hands dirty. Forces a ball up inside the centre square. The D's by 3. Second term, time on Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Logan Evans a little bit sore downstairs after that contest in the previous passage of play. Van Rooyen in the middle of the ground. Can't take the mark. Zerk Thatcher worked him under it. Spilt to Houston. Now to Bergman to Horne-Francis. AFL logo, southern side. Holds things up. Demons defence well set. Out wide to his fellow socks up operator in Chase Burgoyne. Should be more of it. Young Rome, the next one coming through. Got the socks up as well.
Must admit, I was a bit of a socks up man.
You would have been. Here's Bergman. Drives it inside forward 50. Playing with some style and some panache, Daniel. Long kick inside forward 50. D's out the back, have numbers. Howes and McVee both there. Gee, Rioli buffeted Billings off the footy. Howes tries to tackle Wines. Wines slips out of it. 20 metres out, up and down the mine shaft. Over the line or not. Tomlinson stands on the line, leans across, tries to keep it in play. But I fancy that's gone over the chalk from Ollie Wines and will be a goal. It was a 15-metre kick that went 20 in the air, but it might have gone 15.1 metres long.
I've never seen that where a player's trying to stay in the field of play. Oh, he's going to get this, I reckon. I'm not sure you can say as we see the replay. Oh.
It's like Adam Tomlinson was being handed one of his birthday presents. And it's a goal for Port Adelaide.
Oh, is it?
Or has it not been? We'll check this. They're deliberating over it. In fact, it is going to be behind in the end. So, gee, Adam Tomlinson's lucky there. He stood on the line. He's got a touch to it before it's crossed the back of the line.
Paid the mark.
So, yep, no score. And Tomlinson drives it outside the defensive 50.
D's by 2 in the last 3 scoring shots, all behinds for the Power. The back of the pack, Sparrow tumbles one through centre wing, looking for Fritsch, cutting it off Bergman, only knocked it straight to Pickett, who goes on the charge. 1, 2 bounces, closing was Farrell. Got a kick that rolls towards the pocket. Van Rooyen out to meet it. Diving handball was looking for Fritsch and mistimed. Wines cuts it off. He's trying to hit Burgoyne. Too much momentum as he looks to gather. Langdon there, as was Wines. The Brownlow medalist wins out, uses Burgoyne. Wobbler up and under towards the defensive edge. Petty cuts it off back with the flight. Kept his footing. Hands it forward. Towed up by McVee towards the top of the goal square. There's nearly a deadly spear up towards Van Rooyen. Cut off by Zerk Thatcher sitting back. Port with possession in defensive 50. They're down by 2. They're running out of time here in the second quarter if they want to score late.
Have to go the length of the field with little time to do it. Petty cuts it off. Can he get it back inside for the D's? Needs to show some urgency. As he unloads inside forward 50. It's a little bit too little too late. Max Gawn and Alir run into one another inside forward 50 for the D's, and they're having a little bit of a chat, the pair of them. Port Adelaide wasteful In that second term, they added 1 goal 4 to Melbourne's 2 goals 2. The Demons trailed by a point at quarter time, and at half time they lead by 3. Melbourne 4-5-29 to Port Adelaide 3-8-26, with the Power playing to win and potentially move into second spot at the end of the night.
Does continue the trend of the day, though. So over at the Docklands, the Bombers lead the Suns by 5. 5 minutes to play in the second term there, and we haven't had a game decided by less than 3 goals all day on ABC Sport. It's been incredible. So earlier, the Giants defeated Brisbane by 18. GWS were down by 30 at quarter time and then kicked the last 6 goals to notch a win. West Coast beat North Melbourne by 5. Geelong overcoming Fremantle in a shootout by 11 in Perth. And here at the moment, it is Melbourne by 3 points at halftime. The goal scorers: 2 to Pickett, singles to Fritsch and Langdon. And for Port Adelaide, 2 to Horne-Francis. And trying to find their other goal kicker here.
Burn-Jones.
Burn-Jones. Didn't jot it down in the books.
The hyphen.
2 to Horne-Francis, 1 to Burn-Jones. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Still plenty to come your way if you're listening in South Australia as well. We'll take you to our coverage of the Paris Olympics at the conclusion of
Might
this
be
game.
a question for the text line, Aaron, 0437 774 774. What's been the biggest bundle drop of the day? Is it Freo dropping theirs against Geelong? Is it North Melbourne dropping theirs in the last 5 minutes against West Coast to concede 3 goals? Or Brisbane from 5 goals up getting run over the top of by GWS? Because there's a few contenders for the gold medal in the bundle drop on a Saturday afternoon.
There's enough time to have more as well. So Port Adelaide are chasing a top 2 spot here. Melbourne aren't exactly the most informed side in the competition. They let this one go after a 112-point loss. They'd be ruining the opportunity. And the Bombers, meanwhile, if they don't knock off the Suns over at the Docklands with Sam Draper about to take a shot to put them 2 goals up, their season could be kaputs as well. So there's plenty to play for, and we've still got a fortnight to go. So stay with us over the next couple of weekends on ABC Sport. Karen Peterson and Daniel Harford are in the box tonight to try and unravel what's been a messy affair so far here at the MCG. Kez, have we learnt much out of that opening half?
Kez, have we learnt much?
Sorry, we're up here deliberating over stats and pointing at each other trying to work out who's going to talk next. No, I don't think we've learnt much. I think Port Adelaide would be pretty disappointed with their inaccuracy in that second term. They probably could have kicked themselves away, but a couple of just, real missed opportunities. Probably the one for mine was the Rosie one heading towards the pocket that he probably could have taken a steadying kick, and the other one was Rioli found himself in an absolute paddock on the other side of the ground. Those 2 goals, and all of a sudden Port Adelaide really gets some wind in their sails. So what Melbourne did really well in that second term, though, was stopping Port Adelaide's transition through the corridor. Through the first term, what we saw was a really free-flowing open game, and Port Adelaide were able to get speed on the ball, particularly through the middle of the ground, and opened the Melbourne defenders up big time behind the ball. Melbourne were able to stop that. They were able to affect Port Adelaide, the pressure, and we spoke a lot about, or half you spoke a lot about the forward pressure that Melbourne were able to affect and lock it inside their forward 50, get some repeat inside 50s, some stoppages which really slowed Port Adelaide down. The Marshall injury, hopefully for his sake and for Port Adelaide's sake, he's able to come back out in the second term because he was quite good. He got himself around the ground. He was taking some really good contested grabs and gave him a different look when he got up around the half forward for them. I think he ended up with about 8 touches, but he was starting to get really involved. 250 metres gained as well. So hopefully for him and for Port Adelaide, he's able to get back out. And for Melbourne, Pickett's probably been the one that started to really electrify him up forward. He's ended up with 13 touches. 8 of those have been contested. He's had a couple of clearances as well. So for Port Adelaide, someone's going to have to go to work on Pickett. It looks like he might be on tonight, and he could be the match winner for Melbourne half.
Yeah, spot on. Their forward pressure, and he's certainly been a part of that. It's been a highlight for the Demons tonight. Just a real arm wrestle, total contrast to game. It's about contest and defence from the Demons, and Simon Goodwin's been preaching this for a long, long time to Melbourne fans, and it worked pretty well in season 2021 when they won the premiership. But outside of that, it's been frustrating because it does mean that their connection mid-forward is still a problem. It's a work in progress again tonight for them, with some really good opportunities inside their forward half or attacking third of the ground. And then it's the uncontested possession game of Port Adelaide. So contest v uncontested ball for the Demons versus the Power tonight. We see, just in the stats, plus 19 contested ball for the Demons, uncontested possessions, it's plus 26 for the Power. So transition in space, that's what they want. And as you said then, Kez, that Melbourne were able to stop that flow through that second quarter and really did have the majority of the term in their forward half of the ground, which was really pleasing for them, but they still haven't capitalised. So that's their big challenge in this second half, I reckon. It's what Simon Goodwin and the coaches need to be having a real good look at is how do we get more effective ball inside our forward 50 when we've had it just sitting outside with a held-up ball with a mark or a free kick. They just haven't been able to find those lanes or those alleys to find their free players in that area of the ground. They do that, and I reckon the game's just about over because the Power can't match them in the contest at the moment. And they won't be able to transition the ball all night the way they want to and did in that first quarter if they can't sort their contest.
Yeah, it's the marks inside forward 50 again. It was an issue for them last week. They've had 29 inside forward 50s for 3 marks only, so they're not giving the likes of Van Rooyen a good look at it. He looked okay as he started to come a little bit higher up the ground. He only had 1 touch in the first term, but in that second term early, he took a great grab up on the half forward. He just needs to get back, push a bit back closer to goal, get his midfielders to give him the best opportunity and to hit him leading into the pocket. He did have 1, so if they can get more out of him in the second term, then allow the little blokes around him to go to work, I think that's gonna be in Melbourne's favour.
The one thing they've got going for them, just on that, I mean, they had 39 inside 50s last week against the Dogs. They've had 29 at half time, so things are better. So they're much better around the contest. They're able to get the ball and take territory and work it into the scoring zone of the ground. They just haven't been able to execute. So that's a positive. The 29 to half times are much better than 39 against the Dogs last week. And consider the Power had 69 last week against the Swans, and they're sitting on 29 at half time as well. So they've done a pretty good job limiting the effectiveness of the Power's transition, their ball movement through the ground.
Don't get beaten by what you know, and the Demons are certainly accomplishing that right now. So they're overcoming what is a prolific midfield for Port Adelaide, and up forward starting to possibly find some answers. Daniel Turner certainly has helped them in terms of their connection, and now it's just a matter of if they can improve their scoring. The thoughts of Daniel Harford and Karen Peterson at half-time here at the MCG. Melbourne lead by 3 over Port Adelaide, 4-5-29 to 3-8-26, and closing in on half-time at the Docklands. Essendon lead Gold Coast by 10 points, 9-3-57 to 7-5-47.
Ben King's got 3 goals in that game. Sam Draper's got 2. Nate Caddy's got 2. We were on Darcy Parish watch. He had 15 disposals in the first quarter. He's had 2 in the second.
Ooh, fall from grace.
Absolutely.
Also, I believe Nick Cox may possibly be getting a concussion test. I've been checking out bits and bobs as our game's been progressing, but he didn't look too great in that second term early. And speaking of concussion tests, Todd Marshall's currently undergoing one for Port Adelaide. Logan Evans off with an injury concern as well, so we'll keep you up to date on the other side of the news, but plenty to run through, including some scores from the earlier games and who starred in those, and what's to come in the Paris Olympics tonight as well, which we'll take you to at the conclusion of this game if you're listening in South Australia. But for now, on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app, it's time to take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Tanmaya Navada. Palestinian health authorities say at least 80 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza after an Israeli airstrike hit a school. Matthew Doran reports from Jerusalem.
Local authorities say the school in Gaza City had been serving as a refuge for desperate Palestinians who'd lost everything in the war, and accused the Israeli Defense Force of timing the strike with morning prayers. The IDF is citing but not revealing intelligence that Hamas had co-opted the school, and around 20 fighters were hiding among civilians, leading it to launch what it's describing as a targeted strike. The incident comes as Israel prepared to send a delegation to talks in either Doha or Cairo this week, which the United States, Qatar and Egypt are hoping will result in a ceasefire and hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. Matthew Doran, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Investigations are continuing after a plane carrying 61 people crashed near the city of Sao Paulo in Brazil, killing everyone on board. Video footage shows the twin-engine turboprop spiralling towards the ground before catching fire and exploding as it crashed into a housing complex. The head of Brazil's Crash Investigation Centre, Marcelo Moreno, says it's still not clear what caused the crash.
It's a catastrophic event where people died. The aircraft caught fire. It was a total loss. We're committed to delivering the final report. As I tell people, all the information, be it air traffic control or meteorological, all will be collected for analysis.
At home, South Australia's ambulance union says a patient in a residential care facility in Adelaide's northeast died while waiting 5 hours for an ambulance last month. Union spokesperson Leah Watkins understands the patient was initially triaged as a priority 3, which should have had a response within an hour. She also understands the case was then escalated to a priority 2 and then priority 1, but says the patient died by the time the crew arrived. The incident occurred in a month when ramping hours hit a record high. Ms Watkins says the incident was concerning.
For every case that is delayed, there is a greater risk of that person deteriorating to the point that they may indeed pass away before an ambulance arrives.
An SA ambulance service spokesperson confirmed in a statement there had been a delay in attending to a patient in a residential aged care facility. They said the service's thoughts are with the family and care workers, and the case has been referred to the coroner. A 30-year-old man has been charged with 5 offences after detectives uncovered a clandestine drug lab at Silverdale in Sydney's West. Police say they made seizures including suspected drugs, firearm parts, a cannabis hydroponic setup and chemicals. Detective Superintendent Peter Foe says more arrests are expected.
We're not only stopping these prohibited drugs from being manufactured and hitting the streets, we're not only stopping these firearms from being manufactured and being put into the wrong hands and used in crimes of violence. So it's a pretty significant fine for us in terms of disrupting this organised crime network.
At the Paris Olympics in canoe sprint, Australia's Tom Green has missed out on a spot in the men's kayak single 1,000-metre final. He finished 6th in his semi-final. In golf, Australia's Minjee Lee has started her final round of the women's event at the Olympics, while compatriot Hannah Green is just about to tee off. Meanwhile, hopes for Australia's first B-girl to bring home gold in the inaugural breakdancing competition at the Olympics have come to an end, but Rachel Gunn is now a viral sensation. The university lecturer, also known as Ray Gunn, failed to score a single point from the judges, but her performance, including kangaroo hops in a green and gold tracksuit, has entertained many on social media. Fellow breaker Fontaine Larraba, who did not qualify for the Games, is hopeful the attention will raise the spotlight on the sport and attract more funding to support dancers if breaking is brought back to the Olympics in the future.
Well, now we have to remember all the competitors from around the world. Certain countries have more support and funding for their athletes than others. For example, Japan has a government-supported team and they have full-time breaking athletes, allowing them to put more time into their art form and time into their craft.
And Olympic champions Kaylee McEwen and Matt Wern have been selected as Australia's closing ceremony flag bearers. McEwen successfully defended her individual 100-metre and 200-metre backstroke Olympic titles, becoming Australia's first 4-time individual gold medalist, while Wern won the men's dinghy sailing event, the first man to win back-to-back titles in this event in Olympic history. You're up to date with ABC News.
Do you have a favourite ABC show? Perhaps a favourite ABC personality? Tony Armstrong, maybe? Or Sarah Ferguson? How much do you love Gardening Australia, Gruen, Four Corners, Muster Dogs and Bluey? Well, show them some love by voting for them and others in the 2024 Logie Awards. Simply head to tvweeklogies.com.au and cast your vote today.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Rioli's waiting at centre-half forward, walks into the 50 and chisels it into the right forward pocket to Horne-Francis. Career best season in front of goal. Jason Horne-Francis opens the angle and snaps through his second. Farrell wants to go quick, squaring ball, 20 out, across came Billings with the fist, trying to knock it towards Pickett. Marshall's there, smacked it over the line deliberately. And Melbourne get a chance on goal from the tightest of angles. Pickett hooks it through from the tight angle. Hold going the way of Turner. Left half forward, tacking edge of the square, goes inside. Long kick, Pickett used the body to edge out Burgoyne, who wasn't happy with the contact. Both hands on the back, but no clear push. And Cozzy Pickett won't waste any time. One step, snap, goal.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Scrappy affair here at the MCG between the D's and the Power. Melbourne's still a mathematical chance of playing finals, especially after some of the results today. And Port Adelaide eyeing off a top 2 opportunity. But the D's lead by 3 at the major break. 4-5-29 to the Powers, 3-8-26. Aaron Bryans and Joel Peterson with you for the call. Daniel Harford and Karen Peterson, your experts. There's been some injury concerns for Port Adelaide heading into the half, which we'll update you on shortly. Todd Marshall's getting a concussion test, and Logan Evans has been looked at by the doctor as well for a concern. The text line 0437 774 774 is the number if you want to get in touch. And one of our listeners isn't too happy with you, Joel, after your question about who dropped their bundle the most today. This is a very passionate Fremantle fan who says the Dockers didn't drop their bundle, the Cats stiffed them and shut them down. Geelong will be the team to beat, will be the best team to beat in the finals. And we have the ability and experience and the belief. So, stuff you.
Fair enough. Well, that person's wrong. So, good luck to that person.
Look, I agree with you, Joel. I don't think Geelong will do as much damage as others in the finals, but it was a seesawing affair at Perth Stadium today.
Strong and direct feedback. We like that around here.
Absolutely. Why not?
But when we say dropping our bundles, it's the fact that the Dockers have the hardest draw out of anyone from here. So they've got the Giants and Port Adelaide to go in their final fortnight, and the loss today in terms of dropping their bundle leaves them very vulnerable to fall out of the 8.
And you know, forgive us for taking just maybe a little bit of licence with the dropping the bundle phrase as well. We don't need to take everything.
It's been a very fun day.
Well, in fairness, they dropped the bundle last week against Essendon. Yeah, didn't they? I mean, that was the start of the bundle being dropped. That released that first hand, and today, back-to-back losses for them is a disaster.
I get the feeling this may be emotions boiling over for one of our listeners who's had a difficult fortnight as a Fremantle fan. So that game was the middle contest. Geelong defeating Fremantle by 11 points there. Graham Myers had 23 touches and a goal. Patrick Dangerfield, 20 touches and a goal. It doesn't sound like a lot. That's because Fremantle had nearly 100 more touches, but Geelong punished them at clearance, and that's what got it done in the end. So Caleb Sarong had 22 and 3 goals. Luke Ryan with 36, but Fremantle falling short at home against Geelong, losing by 11 points. The two early games with absolute thrillers. So the Giants defeated Brisbane by 18. They were down by 30 at quarter time, hadn't registered a goal, kicked the last 6 of the game to get over the line by three goals in the end. So the 6th win in a row for the Giants, and it snaps the Lions' 9-game winning streak. So GWS arguably one of the most informed sides in the competition, maybe even premiership favourites the way that the discussion lays. They've knocked off Brisbane. Sydney's been up and down. Port Adelaide hit and miss as well. So GWS could stake their claim right now as the best candidate. Cadman kicked 3, as did Hogan, and Darcy Jones had 2 as well. And then West Coast beat North Melbourne by 5 points. And it doesn't sound like a lot when you're talking about 2 cellar dwellers, but it was so exciting because the Eagles were down by 15 with 1:40 to go, and essentially kicked 3 goals in 2 minutes to win the game. It was down in Hobart, and Oscar Allen had the winner, finishing with 5 majors. Cripps had 3, and Tristan Sherry, the best for the Roos, 30 touches, 33 hit-outs, and 12 tackles. Half, I imagine, that would probably push him closer to All-Australian ruck status this year.
I'll tell you what, yeah, it's firm in the conversation, isn't he? At the start of the year, you would have had 1,000,000 to 1 that Tristan Sherry would even be in the conversation, let alone in the squad, let alone in the team. And he's mounting a very strong case that he's going to be the one.
Text in here as well from Shane in South Australia. It says, hi team, great call regarding the mark on the line that was called a mark and not a goal. From back in the 90s, Tony Modra kicked one at Footy Park that went straight up in the air and over and through the goals, came back and hit the back of the post and was called a point. Bit of a swirly breeze down at Footy Park. You know all about that, Joel.
Well, Tony Modra could do anything, even the very odd. Yeah, right. That's almost Point Jellybrand Oval down at Williams.
I was just thinking exactly that.
In the VFL type.
Exactly that. Played there and almost kicked the ball over my head once.
So right on the coast, it's really a stupid spot for a ground. Todd Marshall's been subbed out of the game according to Port Adelaide, so he is out with that concussion. Quentin Narkle has come into the game, so a little bit of news out of the Power camp at half time.
Well, that'll free up their defensive structure, the D's. They've been able had to man up. They've had the big 3 talls there for the majority of the evening, the Power, with Marshall and Dixon and Bigasava. So the D's defenders have had to really be tight on their opposition defenders there, or opponents there. So now they might be just free lever up, give him a chance to play that role. No May tonight, of course. We touched on that at the start of the game. Let him play as that loose hybrid defender who rolls back and helps out as that extra man in the air, which he does so well. Looks as though, he's just watching him at the moment, he's going to end up getting Narkle, the sub for the Power, which means he'll just let him roll up the field. So Narkle's got to find himself dangerous inside that forward third of the ground. Otherwise, Lever will just roll back as that extra number, extra defender for the Demons behind the ball. Really important role for Knuckle here.
It's massive in the context of the run home as well. So Port Adelaide have Showdown 56 next week. No Mitch Georgiadis and now no Todd Marshall. It's a bogey contest for them, Joel. And they need to try and press for a top 4 position. Down by 3 at the half here at the G.
They can go as high as top 2 with a solid win. They're a long way from that at the moment. Who can find something in this second half? Neither side overly convincing in the first. Viney's back in the thick of it for Melbourne at the opening bounce of the second half, but he gave it away to Houston by hand as he was working it to half forward. Houston gave it away to McVie for the Demons, to Billings. Flicks the handball out wide to Chandler, who's dragged down right on the boundary line. Terrific tackle from Houston. That's an outstanding defensive effort to keep him in the field of play, pin the arms, not allow him to get rid of it. And Dan Houston wins it back in front of the members for the Power.
Driving ball towards the logo centre wing. Ratanoleo with the sit. Went early. Booster seat didn't work out for him at the back. Burn Jones toes it looking for the knuckle sparkle. The sub on. Wrapped up by Lever. Brought to ground in the centre square. D's by 3. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Over at the Docklands, the Bombers lead the Suns by 11 at half-time. Out of the stoppage, Langdon uses Rivers and now Neil Bullen. Turning away from Butters. Low ball that bounces straight to McVie. Put him under pressure. Bergman closes with the tackle. Flung out towards Neil Bullen. Bouncing footy. Awkward for Farrell. Went over his head. Pickett was stalking dangerously. Brought away from him by Burn Jones. Coming in, Turner. Tried to wrench it out. And a gang tackle laid on Viney. Just inside the 50. We'll get a ball up. Port Adelaide closing. They're down by 3.
Your Seagulls around tonight. Whatever deterrent method they're going with, clearly not working here at the MCG. Butters spikes it up the line. High kick. Ratanoleo attacks it. Spills the way of Rosie. Hacks it off the ground to Dixon. Handball back to the centre circles for Logan Evans. Kicks inside the 50. Horn Francis up to attack it. Well done from Marty Horn. Nudged him under it. Ball on the deck inside forward 50 for the Power. Horn Francis then dives on Salem. Drags the footy back in under him. Umpire says mine. And a ball up right on the paint of the 50. Poured into attack up to the punt road end. Trail by 3 points after leading at quarter time by 1. Early stages third term. Gawn in ruck. Clearance coming the way of Melbourne. Neil Bullen kicks to vacant space at left half forward. Petty on a looping run. Collects, wheels around, pops it inside 50 into the path of Pickett. Beautiful delivery. And Cozzie's got it. He will line up for goal number 3 from 45 out. Better than a 45-degree angle left of centre.
It's a good kick from Petty in the middle of the ground. How often do you see that, where he picks it up off the bounce and the 2 defenders that are close to him run away from him? He had a lot of time and space to be able to effect that kick to Pickett and just popped it beautifully into the space and allowed him to run onto it.
The enigmatic forward. We know that his best is so brilliant. 2 last week for Cozzy, 2 already tonight. Looking for a third. His strike is true. And Melbourne skip away to a 9-point lead early in this third term. 3 minutes played. Pickett's got 3. Melbourne have got 5 goals, 5. Port Adelaide 3 goals, 8. ABC Sports Saturday night footy.
Another goal from Stoffridge from D50 effectively, and Clayton Oliver involved, so that was really good to see. He got the first hands there, the clearance for the Demons. He's only had the 6 possessions for the night, just started the third quarter. That's so unlike him, it's not funny. And so great to get him involved in the game early for the Demons in this third term, and we talked about this at half-time. If the Power aren't able to up their game around contest and clearance, then this is going to be a game that Melbourne should win, and the way they're going at the moment, they will win it. So the Power have got some work to do. Got to get their big guns around. Rosie's had a quiet night. He's only had the 10 disposals. He's had 1 a 9 at half time. So he's got some work to do to lead this team.
Thoughts of former Blues coach Daniel Harford alongside 3-time All-Australian Karen Peterson. The D's by 9. Gone out of the middle, taps it, ricochets off a couple of bodies, and diving tackle laid by Oliver to hold up Jackson Mead. Get a ball up close to the edge of the square. Near the broadcast wing, sweet down to Rosie. There's a touch. Quick chip. Put it in the path of Francis Evans. Left it behind up against Lever, closing towards the boundary line. And Rivers is happy to let it roll over. Left half forward for Melbourne.
They must have heard you, Half, because they've sent Horn Francis up to the contest. He's been playing mostly deep all night.
Yep.
deep forward, and he's gone up and around. He's just colliding here with Oliver, so big guns around the footy for Port Adelaide.
Just joining us, Todd Marshall subbed out with concussion. Tossed back in, gone down. He's looking for Viney, head over the footy, barged through, kicked, smothered, ricochets towards the boundary line, and Billings buffets Mead over. It'll be tossed back into play from where it started. Melbourne by 9, Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. If you want to get in touch, the text line 0437 774 774.
Well, I can say I can't spot Todd Marshall on the bench either, so just undergoing some treatment in the rooms, or certainly with his history of concussions, you hope the best for him. Sweet and Gawn lock up in ruck. Drew just threw a boot at it. Sweet picked it up off the deck. Handball to Mead for the Power. Mead slips the tackle. Horne-Francis dealt with by Rivers illegally, according to the umpire. And the Hornet takes the free, chisels the kick to the pocket onto the chest of Ratunalaya, who marks 20 metres out.
They're coming for Jordan Sweet too. Like Oliver's on the ground. Jordan Sweet's being attended to by a few of the Melbourne players. Something's happened off the ball there.
Far from all sweet, half.
Oh, nice. Oliver's not wanting more either, just by the way. See what he did there.
Very good. Should mention as well, in the opening term, Max Gordon and Jordan Sweet got stuck into each other as well. So the big man's been causing some problems.
Meanwhile, here's Big Sav. Left forward pocket. Goal kicking shaky at times. That's no exception. It strikes the right hand behind post. 7/8 of the way up. And it's out of bounds on the full. Lever to take it from the left back pocket. In fact, it's going to be Big Max to drive it back in for the D's.
Keep an eye on it, because it was Willem Drew that was giving attention to Oliver around that contest. I wouldn't say it's a hard tag, but he's certainly doing a bit of a run with roll him at the moment, and he's getting under his skin, Drew. He's doing a good job on Oliver, but Sweet was the one who came in, and need to have another look at what happened.
Out to the southern wing, Bergman's kick smothered. Throw a blanket over them, it shoots out towards the logo, centre wing. Fritsch there to meet it, handball mistimed, tried to find Sparrow. Pickett doing his best to make amends. Wraps up Houston. Melbourne by 8. Still half time at the Docklands. The Bombers by 11 there. Tossed up. Gawn taps it down, looking for Oliver. A rare touch tonight. And it wasn't to anyone in particular. Bounces off a couple of bodies, so he goes again. Head over it, flung it out. Burgoyne cuts it off. Rosie there, all class. Breaks away out of the pack. Kicking towards the 50. Ratunalaya went to ground up against Lever. And the Power big man was the offender. Free kick to go to the All-Australian backman. He's sitting in defensive 50 for the D's.
It's had a fairly quiet night, Lever. You mentioned he needs to probably get involved half. He's only touches.
Dangerous kick from McDonald. He's turned it over to Byrne-Jones coming outside the defensive 50. Byrne-Jones sits it on Charlie Dixon's head, but he's good enough to extend and haul it in. 40 out directly in front. That's a shocker from T-Mac.
Yeah, disaster for the D's. They've really started to set this game up on their terms, and just giving the ball back at that area of the ground in particular is just the worst possible outcome for them at this stage of the game. Good composure by Byrne-Jones though, not feeling he had to rush that ball back in. Often players will move off the line really quickly there.
He's kicked 8 since returning to the side a month ago. Charlie Dixon, 3 last week, and that's a beautiful set shot as he pumps the fist in celebration and pulls his side back within a handful of points. 4-8-32 the Power. The D's 5-5-35. 8 minutes played third term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Daniel Harford and Karen Peterson.
Well, critical for the Power to actually hit the scoreboard. It's been a long time. The third minute of the second quarter was their last goal, so it's been a big drought for them to hit the scoreboard with a major, and it was on the back of an error from the Demons, so that they haven't really earned that right themselves at this stage. They had the opportunity before with Bigasava, who missed one from the pocket, but that wasn't an easy chance, and again, they were forced wide inside their forward 50. So the Demons are on top here. The Power have got to find a way to start winning that contest. As we talked about, Rosie's in there, Butters is in there. Drew's got the job on Rivers now because Oliver's at centre bounce, so Butters has gone to him. It's on. Some of the big dogs are going head-to-head here. This is good.
D's by 2. Tight contest at the G. Nice high bounce as well. Both rucks stay down. Gone with the tap, only found Wines. Bowled over by the big ruckman though, and shoots out towards Oliver. Retreats with the handball back to Rivers. We're coming back. Bit of afters. And Drew.
Why wouldn't that be further advantage down the ground when Melbourne had the ball at the arc?
Drew impeding Clayton Oliver. So the free kick to go to the superstar mid.
Bit fiery between the two redheads.
Three-time All-Australian Clayton Oliver. Quiet tonight. This will be disposal number 10 as he booms it towards the 50. Charging out was gone, but couldn't get enough space around three bodies, and Wines floats into the hole to cut it off. Melbourne by 2, Port with possession.
So from one Echuca product to another. Wines out of Boak. The goals in this game have been interesting. D's kicked the first 2, Power kicked the next 3, D's kicked the next 3. And now the Power have got the last of the game. Can they string a couple together once again? Beautiful transition. Zerk Thatcher spreads it wide to Butters, who marks centre of the southern wing. Among the seagulls that scatter as Zach Butters takes his kick. Comes short to Bergman. Back out wide to Butters. Off a couple of steps. Drives it to the edge of the arc. And Byrne-Jones, who found a bit of space and takes the mark. 45 from home.
Good kick, wasn't it? Just dropped it into the bucket. But again, you can see what Port Adelaide are trying to do. They're trying to generate some run and carry. That overlap handball pinned against the boundaries, probably not where they want it to be. But when you've got ball users like Butters and Rosie in the team who are able to just drop it into the bucket like they do there, it's pretty exciting.
So Darcy Byrne-Jones, he'll kick from just inside the 50, 10 in from the boundary, right forward pocket. It is high. It won't quite have the carry. Big pack flies on the goal line, and Max has dragged it in. Imperious in defence. He takes the mark right on the defensive goal line for the D's, the skip.
He's taken 4 marks inside the defensive goal square tonight, Big Max.
On one leg as well. His ankle is completely swollen, but Simon Goodwin's happy to put him in, and it's working. Long kick towards the pack at right half back. Petty there, knocked away from him. Whistle, free kick. Hold going the way of Neil Bullen. Drew again, the offender. He's a tackling machine, but just needs to rein it in a little here. Melbourne by 2. Neil Bullen on the 45 to leave her. Gets it back. Surging through centre half back. Spots Pickett down the middle. Shooting it up the spine. The speedster turns. Lace out to Petty. Flew in. Knocked out late by Zerk Thatcher. Farrell now for the Power at centre half back. Threads a handball through to Lockie Jones. Has Zach Butters right alongside him. Cuts inside and looks to switch. Had the outnumber. Did well to find Rosie. The dynamic duo combining. Leans back over the top to Rioli. Too far out to score. He'll share it close to the boundary line. Narkle now. Tight angle. 58, you reckon. He'll square it up. They converge through the hands of Sweet there, and charging through. Zach Butters left everyone in his wake. The kick smothered late. Desperation from Howes getting across. Oh, the pace on that one. He put on the jet, Zach Butters, and eyed the big sticks. Just couldn't finish it off, and off hands it rolls over the boundary line. The D's by 2. It'll be tossed in, 10 out.
It's a scary prospect when the ball's on the deck inside forward 50, Zach Butters. Sweet against Van Rooyen here. Sweet goes himself, bobbles it around, tries to get it free. Butters with a hand to it again. Back to Rosie, 25 out. Jabs the kick to a central position. And Lever is there to accept it to his chest in defence for the Demons. Handball off to Tomlinson. Generates some run outside the defensive 50. Loops the kick over the top and finds Langdon for the D's. Left half back, 70 out from his defensive goal. Underneath the Shane Warne stand. D's by 3, 13 gone, third term. Now a driving kick up the line from Salem. Generates some territory for Melbourne, but it's back into Port Adelaide hands. Jones to Burgoyne. Now Houston hemmed in along the boundary line. Back to Burgoyne. Kicks an absolute sack up toward half forward. Not even Lever could mark it. Then McDonald got run down by Narkle. Ball spills loose. Rosie off the deck into the right forward pocket. Can he keep it alive? He toe pokes it to Butters. 20 metres out. Now to Narkle. Across the face. Rioli's closing in on this, but it'll bounce Melbourne's way. It's just slapped forward by Chandler in the end. Desperate stuff. Tolstrup sees it across the line. And in the scheme of things, that's probably a win for Melbourne. Throwing at the junction of the 50 at left half forward. D's by 3, but they are under siege.
As Joel mentioned, possibly more seagulls than people here, but the crowd getting up and about as much as they can.
Maybe 2-1. They outnumber as well, Aaron, I reckon.
Low scoring arm wrestle tossed in. Sweet down looking for Wines. Just missed him. The ruckman for the Power puts his head over it, earns the hard ball. Slaps it to Rioli, who's wrapped up quickly. They'll get a ball up on the paint of 50. Port pressing. Down by 2. Sweet finds Butters. Beautiful tap down the throat, but he's nudged as he kicked towards goal. Whether it stayed in the field of play or just crossed the paint, it won't matter. Lever's sitting underneath it. Tied in the right back pocket, and Narkle wasn't listening to the umpire. Called to come back, and as a result, it will be a 50-metre penalty. So Lever, one of 14 premiership Ds out there tonight. March to centre half-back. Spots Salem alone at right half-back. Squaring ball. He's now looking for options downfield. Port Adelaide set up a zone, so Salem will have to go long.
Does just that. Gawn's in the pack. Alir reaches over the top, brings it down, but Viney just kept the legs churning. Handball off to Sparrow, now to Rivers. Cuts a swathe. Wines just got a hand at him, but he got the kick away to Neil Bullen. It was only just the required distance.
Not even half the required distance.
Neil Bullen reels it in. Daniel Harford's got the tape measure and says that is not the required real estate. But Neil Bullen will go back and have a kick from just inside the 50 directly in front.
Hats off to Jack Viney, though. Forget the distance of the kick. Jack Viney's ability to get front and centre and be the first one there at the right time is nothing short of exceptional.
So Alex Neil Bullen comes in, strikes it and loves it.
Hyphen.
Another goal for the Demons and another for the Hyphens. That's 4 goals for the Hyphens tonight here at the MCG. And they're doing it on both sides of the ledger. And the Demons back out by 9. They trade goals for the first time tonight, these two teams. 6-5-41 Melbourne. Port Adelaide 4-8-32. 16 gone, third term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, you're right, half it was Viney coming out of that stoppage, wasn't it? And then it was Sparrow that he got the ball to, just drove his legs, and I think Rivers got involved as well. They look great when they run forward in numbers and in waves, Melbourne, but you could probably put a 12-point turnaround down to Neil Bullen. He was the one up the other end who affected the spoil on Zach Butters' kick. He left his opponent, took that courage, left his opponent, got to a goal-saving smother, and then at the other end was able to slot truly for his team. So Melbourne right on top here.
D's by 8. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Gawn easily outclasses Dixon, but taps it straight to Horne-Francis. Searching kick to the outer side. It bounces in the path of Boak, who didn't break stride. Great kick as he bullets it towards Ratanolea. Tight angle on the 50. The big Fijian thinking about the set shot. In the end, his record is against him, so he'll set it up to the behind line. Dixon coming late with the fist. Had to knock it away from McDonald and smashes it into row 4. Over at the Docklands, the Bombers lead by 5 over the Suns, but the lead has changed hands a few times in the third term, and Sam Draper off the set shot has just kicked his third to give them that lead. 10-4-64 to 9-5-59. You can hear it on the ABC Listen app through the AFL button. Toss back into play here. D's by 8. Flick to the back to Tolstrup. Had no one to go to. Tried to handball to himself and buffets Rioli over the boundary line in the process. Forces a boundary throw in 45 from home.
Sam Draper's got 3 down the road at Docklands for the Dons. He's playing some kind of game. Lead changes throughout. It's been tied on a number of occasions. Dons trying to put a bullet behind their season. And the Suns hoping to get their first win on the road all year. Tossed back in, inside forward 50 for the Power. Gawn just thumps it straight into the air. Dragged off it was Bogue. Rosie keeps it in, hooks it over his head inside the forward 50. Ratanolea attacks it. Dumped out of there by Howes. Spills out the back of the pack on the southern side. Logan Evans, handball to Bergman, handball to Jones. Need to be clean here, Port Adelaide, and they are. Zirk Thatcher, now to Bogue, to the edge of the 50 for Horne-Francis. 52 from home.
There's a bit of vintage Larry Bird about Travis Boak tonight for those old school basketball fans. Just get it to Travis and get out of the way. Because every time he gets the foot in his hands, good things happen for the Power. Another beautiful kick, just a well-weighted vision kick. Saw exactly what was unfolding in front of him and picked the best target. He's done it all night. He's brilliant.
I thought you were talking about the locks of Jason Horne-Francis in terms of vintage Larry Bird.
Vintage Larry, yeah. And the Mushtaka.
Socks up.
Socks up.
2 already for Horne-Francis. He drops the kick. The layup is picked off by Sparrow.
I think he was the only one that knew that was happening.
Sparrow flies among the Seagulls, takes the mark and sends it out to Chandler at right half back.
Got the overlap in Salem. Dinks it to him close to the boundary line, and now Billings over the top, flourishing with a full game behind him. The late in, but he's been the sub or subbed the majority of the season. The new recruit for the Demons. Chisels it to Viney, centre wing, and he can release. McVee surging by, low and hard into the 50. Van Rooyen floats across, couldn't reel it in. Pickett again, pounces, scooping with one hand, snapped around the body too low. And Boak sitting back as the goalkeeper for yet another touch in game 366. He will share it with Houston in the right back pocket. So the D's by 8. On the text line, Jeff in Sunshine isn't happy. He says Oliver deserves a week for diving. He's had a couple of free kicks go his way this term, that's for sure.
Off the 1 metre springboard here at the MCG, Clayton Oliver. Marty Hoare out along the boundary line.
Mark Taylor commentating that?
Yes.
1 metre springboard at the MCG tonight?
Quite possibly. Of course, it'll be on ABC Radio for our South Australian audience. All the Olympic action, that's where we'll be sending you to at the conclusion of this game. We'll get an update from Lauren Borden at three-quarter time as well. And what's happening in Paris this evening. At the stoppage on the wing, Sparrow, his kick turned over, striding away with it, come the power. Here's Butters, 2 bounces, Zach Butters, goal at his mercy, absolutely outstanding. He is a force to be reckoned with, this man. And Zach Butters is in some kind of mood here in this third term. 10 disposals, a goal, and Port Adelaide closed the gap again. 5-8-38 to Melbourne 6-5-41. And the Star just put the head down and charged forward.
He had one of those moments where he turned and saw Oliver was chasing him. He knew he had him for leg speed, and he was just going to take as much ground as humanly possible. And he's back in the centre bounce now, talking to Oliver all about it too, trying to get in his head. He knew who was chasing, and he knew he had the leg speed, and it was a great finish in the end. Boy, did the Power need that.
Geez, to Oliver's defence, there wouldn't be too many players that could chase down Zach Butters in the form that he's in at the moment. So the distance that he puts between him and his opponent when he puts that head down, and more importantly, the way that he's able to finish at the end is just outstanding.
Thoughts of Karen Peterson and Daniel Harford for Saturday night footy on ABC Sports. Sweet taps it down looking for Horn Francis, cut off by McVee, couldn't control it, ripped away by Drew. Now he hands it to the young superstar, hard into the 50. Kick was low, piercing. And Marty Hall was sitting back to cut it off in front of Francis Evans.
Reads the ball well, Marty, when the ball's in flight. Done it a couple of times tonight.
First senior game since round 3, which was against the Power. Fractured his thumb, been playing VFL ever since. His kick to the southern side looking for Gawn, and a couple of hands knock it astray over the boundary line. D's by 2. The Docklands, it's the Bombers by 3. Both midway through the third terms. As Joel mentioned, an Olympic update coming your way. Well, it's a big night. A couple of medal chances for the Aussies.
Stingers.
Up against Spain.
What's the Spain water polo team called?
Good question. We'll ask Loz in a moment's time.
El Stingore.
Toss back in, Gawn to Sparrow. Back to Langdon. Up the outer side he goes, looking for Van Rooyen. Knocked down front and square was Viney. Good handball in the thick of things to find Tolstrup, but he left it behind for Houston in the end. Out to Logan Evans for the Power, and back where it came from, Gawn sitting back. And the big man's looked dangerous tonight. The D's skipper on the 45 will share it off with Chandler, or Sparrow rather.
Google tells me sting in Spanish is picadura. La picadura. I really hope it's that.
There's been some ordinary comments tonight. That's on the podium, I reckon.
Who's gone to McDonald?
That's the gold medalist by a mile.
Inside defensive 50.
You're
up to Oliver.
Champion, Olympic champion. You are Joel Peterson.
Oliver right on halfway.
Derail the call.
Drives it to left half forward for the D's, and just floating in from the side is Houston unopposed. That was way too easy for Dan Houston, coming off a couple of prolific games of his own. Back to Kane Farrell, who was pretty go Pioneers teammates with Marty Hoare, playing at the other end of the ground, and he was a bottom major. So those two have shared a piece of their footy journey. Logan Evans now to Boak. So the young and the old for Port Adelaide, and Boak's got it. Underneath the southern stand, pretty sparsely populated as he chips it back toward Evans, and they advance the footy slowly.
Logan Evans well cemented into the 22 now. Just continues to rack up the footy for a first-year product. Into the 50 he goes. Ratanalea the target. Couple of hands in there, knocked it away. Wines retreats back to Drew. Quick snap into the pocket. Nearly hit Francis Evans. Good vision, and it was basically a split second to try and find him. It bounces over the boundary line. 20 out. Right forward pocket for the Power. Left-hand side of your radio dial. They're down by 2, but gaining some momentum. 2 of the last 3 goals going their way. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Tossed in, Gawn broke away from Sweet. Took it out of the drop and handed it to McVie. Crunched the footy out of there. Only found Zert Thatcher. Hospital handball. Lockie Jones quickly wrapped up by McVie and will get a ball up in the centre square.
They're called the Seahorses, actually, and that is, of course, Caballito de Maembra.
Very good, Daniel. Mi amigo. In the centre of the ground, here come the D's. Nice work from Sparrow to get it to Chandler. In fact, Viney it was who got it to Chandler, who kicks inside forward 50. Alir went without it. Petty's there. He pushes Boak off it. Tries to pick it up. Van Rooyen to Drew to Boak. Caught by Langdon. Handball outside the defensive 50. Now Logan Evans. Oh, Chandler dived after him. He just couldn't grasp him. Evans kicks into the middle of the ground. Turnover. Here's Marty Hall for the Demons in the centre.
Finding some footy in this third term. He waits it in front of Tomlinson, who wants to go. Breaking away from Burne-Jones. Takes the mark. Searching kick towards the 50. Little shallow for Viney. Got on it in the end, but Burne-Jones breathing down his neck. Whistle, free kick. Burne-Jones kept scrapping for it and impeded Billings. Viney a little slow to his feet as well, but free kick to Melbourne. And the former Saint heads back on the 45 to Tomlinson. Looking to switch. Through the square he goes. Hoare again, another touch. Now the outer side. McDonald has the footy on the logo. Turns. Bullets it towards the 50. Petty charging out. Bounced off his mitts again. Langdon front and square. Spun in the washing machine. Boak didn't get the free kick as a result. Begging for it in the process. Melbourne had the numbers and it's on behind play. High tackle, free kick going against Melbourne. Petty getting stuck into Horn Francis.
Yeah, it's against Petty, the free kick. And Jason wasn't overly wrapped about it, but Petty had the dominant on-top position and decided to keep him down there.
Guess that rules out any prospect of them being future teammates. The South Australian Harrison Petty is re-signed with the Demons recently.
2 first-rounders was the offer, wasn't it?
It was last year for the Crows. I don't think it will be after this season. Horn Francis down the line. The players converge. Knocked away towards the boundary line. Bit too harsh, Joel?
Nah, gold medal for the clip there, Aaron. That's nice.
Langdon back to Tomlinson. Low, hard. Looking for Oliver. Knocked away from him. So messy footy. Cue the Benny Hill music. It's going back and forth through the southern wing. Alir's kick now smothered. Can Chandler cash in? Gets it to Neil Bullen. Turns attacking edge. Butter's got a tackle in. Kick towards the 50. A little bit too hot for Van Rooyen. And off hands it rolls over the boundary line. 25 out left forward pocket at the city end for the D's.
It's a real tussle, isn't it? There's no flow in this game whatsoever. No one's getting the ascendancy. There's no time and space. It's a real finals-type game. No one's able to break this game open at any stage. It's bordering on boring at times, but that's the game. That's what's on the line for both these two teams.
2 straight apiece in this term for both of these two teams. Van Rooyen in ruck. Kick was smothered. Spilt to Butters. Boak had it, lost it, knocked it out of his grasp. Logan Evans goes in, tries to get it to Burne-Jones, who has to turn tackler. And we'll have a ball up. 55 metres out from the Melbourne goal.
It's completely different to what we saw in the first quarter, which was really free-flowing and open, but it's just completely got bogged down.
It is an absolute arm wrestle at the moment, this ball game. Rosie with the clearance, feeds the handball to Boak. Boak drives the kick toward half forward. Horn Francis holding on to Tom McDonald. And the free kick will go the way of the Melbourne veteran at left half back. Melbourne by 3, 6-5 to 5-8. 28.5 gone third term.
McDonald off a step, leans back down the line. Gawn was his target and held. Nearly clunked it anyway. As impressive as he's been across the night, but the free kick will go his way. Jordan Sweet, the offender. He'll share it with Salem and now inside to Hall. Just wide of the centre circle. The D's fans were begging him to move it as the clock ticked down. In the end, the siren beats Melbourne, but they will still be happy with their advantage. Up by 3 at three-quarter time. 6-5-41 to Port Adelaide's 5-8-38. What an important quarter coming your way on ABC Sport in the context of both these sides' season. The D's hoping to possibly slip back into the 8 in these final 3 weeks, in Port Adelaide a chance at a top 2 spot if they can get back ahead in this final term. Lot coming your way. Goal scorers heading into the final change. 3 to Pickett, singles to Fritsch, Neil Bullen and Langdon. For the Power, 2 to Horn-Francis, and goals to Butters, Dixon and Burn-Jones. An Olympic update coming your way as well for our listeners in South Australia who'll be headed to our coverage of the Paris Olympics. But for now, on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app, it's the D's by 2 for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
It's the most magical time of the year, right? Footy season. This season you can get your footy live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app.
Unbelievable.
AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever you fix, we've got you covered. Every goal, try, mark and tackle, called by ABC Sport's expert commentary team.
A wonderful goal. Game, set, bingo.
100% pure footy, live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL Premiership season.
AFL. On your radio.
On digital. And take us with you on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Seesawing affair here at the MCG with Melbourne up by 3, and over at the Docklands the same there as the lead continues to change hands. The Suns lead the Bombers by 4 with 7 to play in the third term. If you want to hear it, jump on the ABC Listen app and hit the AFL button. If you want to hear our coverage of the Paris Olympics, you can throughout regional Australia on analogue radio, as well as a couple of capital cities, including South Australia, which we'll take you to at the conclusion of this contest. And standing by to update us on what is going to be a big night for the Australian Olympic side is Lauren Borden. And Loz, we've had a bit of a debate about the women's water polo side. Can you tell us a bit about what's to come in the women's final?
Yes, so that's basically going to be coming up straight after the footy. As you're on your drive home in South Australia, you can listen in. It's the water polo Australia against Spain. So this is going to be the big one. I think this is the real hope to get to 19 gold medals and surpass the 18 that we've already got now. The Australians must be on such a high after defeating the US yesterday. You just hope that wasn't the match, that was their key match. They win that and they drop off a little bit. I don't think they will. They've been in good form this whole tournament. They haven't made a final since 2000. It's been a long time to get there, but I think they can get the Spanish tonight. That's coming up at 11:35 at La Défense Arena. Just before that, after the footy, after you finish that, we'll have Aussies in action in another final in the diving. So Castle Rousseau, he'll be in the men's 10-metre platform final. He qualified 4th. The semi-finals were just a couple of hours ago, so it's a big day for them to put in their 10 dives. So he qualifies for that. We saw Madison Keeney win silver on the 3-metre springboard yesterday. So it's been quite a good Olympics for the divers. For the sport climbing, unfortunately, I was hoping we might have got a medal in this one. Oceana McKenzie, she was 3rd after her bouldering, where they have the 4 problems that you have to get through. That's her strength. And then she went to the 15-metre wall. So after studying that for the 6 minutes they get allocated, she went on to do it and she actually fell. So that meant that she didn't medal in the end, which was a little bit disappointing for her there. Also, Aaron, you might be interested in this, the breakings to come. The men's J Attack will be in action for the Australians at the Plus Stella Concord. So I don't know where you sit on all that, I don't know if you and Joel and Kez and Half have been doing some breakdancing in the box, but the Australians will be coming up in the breaking a little later on too.
Look, my opinion's irrelevant on it, Loz, but all I can say is it's fun, right? It's going to be an exciting event. I can't believe it's going to continue after what happened yesterday, but obviously we've got the men's to come. And what was the name again?
It is J Attack tonight.
J Attack,
so he's
after Ray Guns. So
yes.
17-year-old named Jeff. You don't get that every day, Loz.
But it won't be in action in LA, so enjoy your breaking now while you can at Paris Olympics.
Question without notice, but Daniel Harford, what's your breaking nickname? J Attack, Ray Gun. Big shorts.
D-Doggy.
D-Doggy.
D-Doggy's my nickname.
Pitbull.
Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide.
Kez?
Mr. Worldwide. Jesus,
It's a funny name.
Yeah, no, look, I'm
Pez
sorry.
dispenser.
Oh, yeah, leave me on notice.
The Kez dispenser. Love it.
That's Karen Peterson, by the way. Daniel Harford, your experts tonight on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans and Joel Peterson with you. We've got a cracking contest to wrap up your Saturday, so we've had some real good games. The Giants defeated the Lions by 18. The Eagles defeated the Roos by 5. The Cats got over the Dockers by 11. The Suns lead Essendon by 5, closing in on three-quarter time at the Docklands. And it could go either way here at the G. Half and Kez, how do you see this playing out?
Well, it's a fascinating game. We're still none the wiser, I think, what's going to happen in the outcome of this game. It's a game that in the third quarter, Melbourne were able to control possession a little bit more. They're able to move the ball up the ground with a level of efficiency they probably weren't able to do. It had to be done a bit ugly in the first half of the ground, but they were able to do it and get some scoring opportunities. They did control possession a little bit more in that third term. And the question is, the gauntlet's well and truly thrown at the Power here in this last term, Kez. Can they win stoppage and get some territory on the back of that and find a way to win this game of footy? Because at the moment, seemingly the way it's unfolding, this arm wrestle suits Melbourne more than it suits Port Adelaide.
Yeah, I agree. Geez, you've done well to get that back on track, Half, because I was the breaking chat and the comedy routines that's going up in this box at the moment. It's hard to believe that there's a footy game happening in front of us, but no, you're absolutely spot on. Oliver started to get involved. He got caught in a couple of scuffles in that as well, so he's starting to look dangerous as he's gone. We mentioned through that third term just his ability to get back and get on the line. He's really at the moment probably Melbourne's most influential player on the ground, and I expect him to continue to do that in his fourth term. And Butters was the one for Port Adelaide that started to get on the move. We spoke at length about the way that he was able to burst away from the contest and put some meterage into Oliver as well. He looked dangerous when he was playing forward, and Boak, we keep singing his praises off the half-back line. I expect them, those two in particular for Port Adelaide, to really get the job done for them. Boak's had 23 touches, going at 94%. He's been outstanding off the half-back line.
I think we've had a nice balance, almost Simone Biles-esque, of comedy and calling tonight, Kez.
May it continue as.
Take some offence to that. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. The D's by 3. Grandstand finish coming your way. Gawn wins it down looking for Pickett. Kept fighting as it bounced off Rosie, but he's caught. Ran out of room. The brick wall in Jordan Sweet. In the sandwich, Rosie's happy to take it. The skipper pops back up. Driving footy. Dixon! King Charlie clunks it in front. 30 out from goal. No angle to speak of.
Oh, it's a good sign for the Power. The big guns in there fighting as hard as they could for that ball in the centre of the ground. And then start of a game, start of a centre bounce, after a goal, doesn't matter. The numbers are even at either end. It's your best chance to find some space inside your forward arc if you get it in quick.
Dixon comes in, straight and true. And he's got 2. Port Adelaide in front. A 4th lead change of the night. 6-8-44 to the D's, 6-5-41. And it only took 55 seconds to get there. They've found the generator. Karen Peterson, Daniel Harford, your experts tonight on ABC Sport.
Good shout, Harford. It puts defenders under the pump, doesn't it? When Rosie's able to just wheel and go in the middle, the Melbourne defenders, it's even killed. It's 6v6. They don't have an opportunity to push one of their wingers back, which is traditionally the way that teams will defend off stoppage. They'll push a winger back into the defence, so it ends up with an outnumber. But when Rosie's able to just pick up the ball and kick it in long, give his forward the best opportunity in Dixon, who did a great job to float across the front of the pack. He took offence to you telling him that he couldn't get off the ground before, because I reckon I saw at least a credit card distance under his ankles.
Ball up in the middle. Power trying to get something going at the start of this final term. Sweet knocked it forward, but Rioli had a hand on the jumper of McVie. It was a visible tug and 50. Not called to play on, and Rioli was creeping on the mark. And Judd McVie will be taken within range.
He did well, McVie, because he saw what was happening. Rioli was starting to get happy feet, and he just ran at him and put him under the pump. Looked like he was going to throw the handball, but just hung onto it and drew Rioli into a mistake on the mark, and he's now lining up.
So it's been a strange old night here at the MCG, and Judd McVie in game 46 has a behind to his name so far in his career. From right on the 50, won't be adding to that in a major sense. Pack flies, Sweets there for the Power, grabbed by Petty. Umpire says mine. Ball up right forward pocket. Now pressing for an early score here, the D's.
Tapped down, straight to Neil Borland off a step, curling it towards goal. Petty underneath it, knocked away from him. Barging in was Lockie Jones. Lost his footing, almost caught by a hurdle. And Van Rooyen wrapped up top of the goal square. A couple of metres out here. Jostling for position. Sweet wins it down to Houston. Bit of space amongst a plethora of bodies. Looping handball, though, sold Burgoyne into immense trouble. And Langdon pounces on him. Ball up to come right forward pocket.
He's done that a few times tonight, Houston. Put his teammates in trouble in defensive 50 with handballs. He probably could have just kicked the ball out.
Caught by 3Ds 50 off the stoppage. Langdon trying to rip the ball out of there and wrapped up by Burgoyne. So we're 10 out, still in the right forward pocket.
Dees into attack. Sweet goes up. Pickett stayed down, kept it moving, but Bergman with desperation dives in front of him, drags it to a stop before Pickett closes in to tackle and force another stoppage. 6 metres out from the Melbourne goal. Van Rooyen up in ruck. And it's squirted back toward the behind line and over for a rushed minus score. The gap is 2 points. Port 6-8, D 6-6. 3.5 gone final term. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Three-quarter time at the Docklands. The Suns lead the Bombers by 4. You can hear it on the ABC Listen app. Houston launches it to the broadcast swing, playing on from the defensive goal square. Tomlinson at the drop, knocked it down. Thrusting handball from Salem to throw. Just had the opposite momentum. Certainly launched it out of there with a flick. Butters was waiting anyway. On the 45, hits up Rathanolea. Now Drew. Riding shotgun into the 50, looking for Horn Francis. Couldn't control it. Burne-Jones front square, taken without it. Knuckles working. Couldn't control it. Burne-Jones came back in late. Wrapped up by McDonald, dropped it. The whistle stayed away. They're just fighting and clawing for this footy. Tackle laid by Burne-Jones. Tomlinson laid on top of it like a starfish, and we'll get a ball up 35 out straight in front for the Power.
Tossed up quickly. Sweet whacks it forward. D's have numbers there. Howes to Salem. Horn Francis has got him. He got the handball away only to Butters. Now to Burne-Jones. Right forward pocket. Hooks it back toward goal. Across the face. Out for a ball in.
That's a Zach Butters has thrown that ball to Burne-Jones. Like, he had it marked it above his head, or grabbed the ball out of the air above his head. Had an opponent right on him. He had to get rid of it really quickly, but it's a dead set throw. We've seen 3 throws in the last minute of the football, and none of them have been called.
Turned into European handball as opposed to Australian rules football. Ball will be tossed back in left forward pocket. Power into attack. Sweet ended up hitting it with his hip. Like he was trying to hip and shoulder the ball back over the boundary line, which is what he ended up doing. Out for another throw in, still deep forward for the Power.
Can they break the deadlock and extend their lead? Up by 2. Can sense the energy is lifted here at the G. The Seagulls certainly are feeling it at the moment as they flood into this stoppage. Corn still gets the tap out. Make that some hard work, and it comes out to Pickett, who weaves his way through a couple. The kick was astray. Hit and hope down the line. Port had the numbers. Houston cuts it off. Now Boak on the logo broadcast wing. Spots Rathanolea in the pocket. Perfectly weighted to him. Pinpoint pass to the big Fijian. And Asava has it 48 outside angle.
I feel like a broken record, don't we? Just singing the praises of Boak, but again, you see, just puts it to the advantage of his forward. That defender had absolutely no chance to get a fist to that.
Short approach from Rathanolea, wants to set it up in the end. Hooking at top of the goal square. Dixon launched, couldn't control it. Front and square, Horn Francis wrapped up before he even hit the deck. And all over him was Christian Salem. We're 20 out from goal, straight in front for the Power. They're up by 2.
Dangerous spot if you're a Demon. Gawn slaps it out in ruck. Rosie, 1 try. Gathers on the second attempt. Handball back to Jones. Riding shotgun. Hooks it around the body. And a minor score. Makes that margin 3 points again. 6-9 plays 6-6. Power ahead. 7 gone. Final term down at Docklands, as said. 4-point lead to the Suns at three-quarter time. So this remarkably close round of footy continues Saturday night at the MCG.
Still plenty to come on your Sunday as well. Salem out to the right back pocket to Lever. Looks for an exit. Gorm was his target. Spills out towards Viney. Diving handball to Pickett. Wrapped up. Just got boot to ball. Spun against the flow, but he gave it away. Burne-Jones chipping it too casually. Rivers was there. Knocked it to Viney. Nice chain with Gawn and McVie. Forward to Neil Bullen. Back to McVie. Across the logo on the southern side. There are Seagulls everywhere. You've got white Port Adelaide players in their clash strip and the Seagulls floating across it all. And in the traffic, Port Adelaide have got away with it. Burne-Jones towards the 50. Rathanolea back with the flight. Lost control of it as he hit the deck. Howes now for the D's. Skies it out of there. Getting out of dodge, and it lands in the lap of Petty. Just behind centre wing on the southern side. Port by 3.
Petty drags it in, moves it immediately. Kick up toward Van Rooyen. With strength, disposed of Jones. Turns back on goal. What's he got? Kicks toward Pickett. Oh, Bergman. Outstanding aerial work. Back with the flight. Dragged down by Pickett. They weren't happy with that in defence for Port Adelaide.
Fair enough too.
Jones gives him what for, so does Logan Evans. Meanwhile, Bergman's yet to rise to his feet.
So a double hit there, Joel. He's chucked up an arm, which has collected him high, but also brought him down and slammed his head into the turf on the way down.
Yeah.
That was pretty ordinary from Cos.
And he does do the unremarkable as much as he does the remarkable, unfortunately, Cosy Pickett, and that might have him drawing the ire of the match review officer.
Looks like Melksham's about to come into the game too as the sub. Haven't yet seen who's got the T-shirt at the back of the bench yet, but I'll keep an eye on it.
Good news is that Bergman's back to his feet. Maybe just had the wind taken out of him, hopefully, as opposed to any concerns with the head knock. He is very ginger, though. He drives it up the line and he kicks it straight to Max Gawn. So far from the intended target. D's trail by 3. 9 minutes gone, final term. Jacob Van Rooyen is the player substituted off for Melbourne. Meanwhile, Gawn drops it inside the 50. A 20-metre kick finds Neil Bullen, who marks 49 metres from home, and this will test his leg.
So that's what we asked the D's to do in that zone, sort of 50 to 70. Try and find someone just inside the arc somewhere. As a Port Adelaide player's been felled in the middle of the ground, in the middle of the forward 50.
And it is going to be a reversal. It'll be a reversal, and it'll be a power ball going to the skipper Rosie at the edge of the defensive 50.
Disastrous outcome for the D's.
Season on the line. Simon Goodwin would be filthy. Set shot wasted. Burgoyne rather has it at left half back for the Power. Deep kick, sweet. Took the mark as Gawn went to ground. He'll release his skipper in Rosie. On the fast track, looking for Dixon off hands. Francis Evans was running by, ready to just cash in. And a stray arm from McDonald reeled it in for the D's. Whitey goes to Hoare in the right back pocket. Port have all the momentum right now. Melbourne looking to exit. Gawn again the target. Everything's gone through him. Knocked away, but he gets it in the end. Fritsch handed it to him. The big man now to Viney. Then Sparrow up towards the attacking edge. Aaliyah launched himself too high. Lost it in the drop. Spilled down to Chandler. He's caught by Houston holding the ball. Split second, but he just dropped the footy. And a free kick to the Power, who are up by 3 at centre half back. It hasn't been pretty. Far from a beauty pageant. But these two finals contenders going blow for blow at the MCG.
It was Pickett who gave away that free kick, just on the replay on that. So he's had a couple of moments he'd like to take back, I reckon, of recent times. Moments in the game, Aaliyah left it, Pickett to run inside 450 all by himself, drop the mark, and they're able to get that tackle. But I'll tell you what, if that comes out, it's a goal to Melbourne, they win.
Houston thumps it up the middle. Rathanalea a couple of bites at it, couldn't take it, spilt to Billings. Billings' kick was bashed down by Zirk Thatcher, didn't mark, spilt straight to Viney. Viney kicks inside forward 50, Pickett in the race, and he's going to win it. Cosy runs through the tape, slams through another goal, that's his 4th, and hands Melbourne back the lead. It was like Noah Lyles charging in the 100 metres, and he gives the Port defenders what for on the way back. 7-6-48, plays 6-9-45. D's back in front, 12 gone, final turn.
Well, he owed them one. He owed them one for a few indiscretions that have cost him possession in that area of the ground. And Port Adelaide defenders, again, Kez, just getting very confused about their roles in that ball, that high ball at the top of the arc. They all went up. As soon as it hit the deck and they had possession, 3 Melbourne forwards just ran ahead of the footy. It was down to Butters. He was the only one, as Viney kicked that ball inside forward 50, the only one that had 3 to defeat. And once he got pushed to ground, Pickett was off to the races, and it was curtains.
Just way too high up the ground, weren't they, the Port defenders, and in the end spoiled each other in the contest.
3-point lead to the Demons. Hold your breath. Could go either way, out of the middle, Gawn down to Oliver, handball to Langdon, quick kick was rushed, had more time than he realised, and only finds Logan Evans on the painted defensive 50.
What an amazing Saturday footy we're having.
Speaking of, over at the Docklands across town, the Suns lead the Bombers by 3 in the final term there, 17 to play, so single-digit margins at both of our Saturday night fixtures. Evans to the centre square, and Dixon, big bodywork on Gawn. Shoved him out of it, clunked it, turns, heads into the 50, bit shallow for Rioli. Bounce favoured McVie, hands it to Billings, tight in the pocket, kick a little hot. Lingered in the air too long, trying to get it to Melksham, who's been activated for the D's, and Houston knocks it over the boundary line. So Jacob Van Rooyen out, you'd assume tactically. Todd Marshall's out with concussion. Both are subs in play, and it's Melbourne by 3. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
Ball at right half forward for the Power. Just shoves Charlie Dixon out in the ruck contest, but it falls the way of Port. Boak inside forward 50. Rioli flew against the tall timber. Rosie tapped it onto Burgoyne, dragged down by McPhee. Terrific tackle, locks it up top of the 50.
A lot of talk about Cosy Pickett during the week. He's come out and kicked 4. Willie Rioli kicked 4 last week. Hasn't been cited tonight. Just the 5 disposals. No impact on this game whatsoever for the Power.
Thoughts of Daniel Harford on ABC Sport. 3-point lead to Melbourne. 7-6 plays 6-9. Oliver charges through the contest, puts his head down, frees the footy. Langdon now to Tolstrup. Drives a sack up toward half forward. Fritsch collects on the bounce, claimed by Jones. And a ball up. Good, hard, tough stuff at the moment. The desperation, the intent. It is clear to see for both of these teams. Port with a win going to the top 2. Melbourne trying to keep their season alive. 14 through the last. It's the D's by 3.
Edgy of seat footy. Dixon took it out of the ruck and jammed a kick towards the boundary line. It's deliberate. True centre wing on the southern side. A rare win for Dixon over Gawn, but he's failed to pounce and take the opportunity. Speaking of Gawn, he's gone to ground as Dixon's collected him behind play. Whistle stays away. Long ball towards the 50 for the D's. Slipped through the hands of Gawn. At the back though, Turner just missed the handball with Chandler running by. Would have resulted in a shot on goal. D's by 3. Boundary throwing to come. 45 out, right forward pocket. They're kicking to the punt road end. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Aaron Bryans, Joel Peterson, Daniel Harford and Karen Peterson with you.
Gawn in ruck against Dixon. Max just rips it out of the contest, jams it on the boot, bounces near the behind line. Zerk Thatcher getting back there. Rush kick, turnover, straight to Billings. Can he make it count? No. Might have had more time than he thought. Misses away to the right. 4-point lead to Melbourne. 15 and a half gone. Final term.
Needs to rush that one through, I reckon. Half. It was under enough pressure to not cost a deliberate rush through.
It's the pressure they've been under all night. Cares in that area of the ground. The D's real and perceived pressure has been significant.
Port's premiership credentials being tested. Houston with the exiting kick. Looking for Boak, who gathered on the bounce and is escorted over by Billings. Defensive lapses have cost Port Adelaide across games this year. I reckon back in round 3 when the D's won, Sava Ratanolea looked to take an intercept mark on the goal line and mistimed where exactly he should be standing, and it ended up going through for a major. Toss back in, tap down, Gawn looking for Billings. On hands and knees, a handball to Tolstrup, running out of room, did well, squeezing it centrally to the top of the goal square. Lockie Jones rose up above the pack, brought it down and handballed to Houston. He's set upon by a couple of D's and walked over the line. 30 out, left forward pocket. Melbourne by 4. It's tight, it's tough, it's desperate. It's finals like footy at the MCG.
Still half this final quarter remaining. Umpire slings it back in. Sweet took it out of the ruck, had one go at it in a second, finally got boot to ball. Just hurries a kick up toward the wing in front of the interchange. Malaya knees it out of play, bounced in any case, and Max Gawn dawdles off and is replaced by Petty. Ball tossed in right in front of the Melbourne bench. Couple of goals in this term to the D's. In fact, 1 goal, 2 they've kicked so far. Port with 1 goal, 1. Melbourne by 4. Clearing kick for Port Adelaide. Ratanolea knocks it over the top. Looking for Narkle. Slap back the other way by Viney. Chandler and Butters collide. They slide over the boundary line in front of the members. And the ball will be tossed back into play.
Here's the chance for the Power with the ruck combination there at the moment. Sweet's in there, no. Max Gawn, he's having a spell. Petty's his opponent. He's much stronger, he's much bigger. He's had 2 clean clearances in the last 2 to advance the game for the Power.
Toss back into play, D's by 4. Sweet front position, only found Chandler. Quick kick, up and under, through centre wing on the broadcast side. Zerk Thatcher front position, missed time where it was dropping. And it favours Melksham, who socket it forward. The half volley finds Fritsch and unselfishly shares it. He was streaming towards goal and in the end pops it to the youngster in Tolstrup. Game number 8 and a chance to put the D's up by 10.
Well done by Fritsch. He just got on his bike, almost that high risk, high reward. All duck, no dinner, push forward, and in the end he got on the end of, he kicked it to his teammate. He probably Probably could have had a shot himself. Relatively quiet night by his standards. 11 touches, 1 goal, 1, but did the team thing. Set his teammate up beautifully.
Colton Tolstrup trots in and sprays it off the side of the boot, and it's lucky to be a minor score on the right-hand side. D's by 5 with 8 to play. 7-8-50 to the Power, 6-9-45. 17,867 in-house, so just over 1,000 more than the D's and Giants game. Not too many, Joel, but enough to make an atmosphere in this close contest.
Yeah, they're certainly getting value for money, those that have bothered to show up. Long kick into the centre of the ground for the Power. Butters might have had another throw there. Got it to Logan Evans. Handball across to Boak, who's dragged into the turf by Kate Chandler. The man from the West Coast, from Chara. Played his footy at Penong, went to school in Sejuna. He's doing things really well here at the top level on the big stage. Wines at the stoppage for the Power. Rosie dragged off it, picked up by Sparrow inside the 50. Upstairs goes Jones, downstage Pickett. Oh, he fumbled it, he might go back and pick it up. Handed off to Evans, and now Sparrow around the body for the D's to full forward. Turner throws a boot at it, and it's rushed through. It makes the margin a straight kick. 7-9 to 6-9. D's ahead, 20 gone, final turn.
The live ladder's an absolute jigsaw puzzle. Could go any way over at the Docklands as the Demons, the Bombers rather, lead by 6 over the Suns. Here it's the Demons by 6. Exiting kick. Houston again looking for Boak, forced to spoil. And a ball up to come, left half forward for Melbourne.
Horn Francis comes up to the stoppage for the Power. He's been sitting forward the last couple of minutes. Boak's there, Rosie's there, Oliver's there, Viney's there.
Sweet wins it down to Rosie. Looking to break away from the looming tackle of Chandler. Rolls it through centre wing on the broadcast side. Salem there to meet it. He's wrapped up by Narkle. Kick astray. Only found Boak. Hit and hope. Jamming it towards the 50. It rolls wide of Rioli and over the line. Boundary throw in to come. 45 out. Right forward pocket. Port Adelaide inside 50. And down a goal with 7 to play in this final term.
Melbourne have owned these scenarios tonight out of D50. Their stoppage work and clearance work from here has been exceptional. The Power have had no chance to lock it in or get really good looks, so we'll see how they go against Sweet with Max Gawn not there.
Sweet wins it down. Horn Francis had a play at it, picked up by Boak, who's been busy in the last term again. Wine screws it around the corner. Narkle rises into the night sky and pulls it in. 20 metres out, 45-degree angle right of centre. And the substitute can go back and tie things up.
Real courageous mark, wasn't he? He had big Asava coming leading out from the square, and he just put his head down, got to the fall of the ball, and just turned his body to protect himself. But what a really strong mark.
The sub 5 times this season, including in his past 3 games. Brought into the game with Todd Marshall going out at half-time. When you get brought in, can you come in and make an impact? Quinton Narkle does just that. Tied ball game at the MCG. 22 minutes gone in the final term. Melbourne and Port Adelaide cannot be split. 7-9, 51 apiece. And Narkle injects himself into the contest with some meaning.
Great finish. Real pressure on every possession at the moment. There's enormous pressure on with what's on the line for both these two teams, and for him to go back after limited time tonight, limited influence, just 3 disposals, that's a terrific piece of work from Quinton Narkle. Well done to him. Scores tied here, scores tied at Docklands as well, 12-9-81 with Essendon and the Gold Coast Suns. What a night of footy.
One against the play, wasn't it? Melbourne have been peppering away for probably the last 4 or 5 minutes, so for Narkle to go back and really arrest that momentum back Port's way.
Well, Max Gawn's back in. It's a critical move for the D's to get him off the bench and get him back into this contest.
What a season we've had. Great to have you with us for Saturday Night Footy on ABC Sport. Out of the middle, it's towed the way of Butters. Port will get the clearance, and he's checked the kick to Horn Francis. The skill of Zach Butters could have blazed away and pulls it to Jason Horn Francis.
Great call, and the kick was magnificent. He was the only person on the ground that knew what was happening. But as soon as Horn Francis saw it off his boot, he was the first one to react and came back to the ball. His opponent was just sitting on his heels, waiting for the longer ball inside, deep inside 50.
Slide angle to the right, 48 out. Jason Horne-Francis trots past the attacking edge. The Hornet leans back on the kick, looking for a 55-metre bomb. Gawn's on the line, tried to tap it over. Narkle was there to pounce, checks back the kick to Rosie. And the unselfish teamwork of Port Adelaide is shining under the bright lights of Saturday night.
Oh, hang on. They might be checking the goal line here.
It's either a set shot to Connor Rosie or it's carried over the behind line for a minor score.
Melbourne are pretty confident that it's a behind.
Either way, Port Adelaide could be in front. It looks like that ball was carried past the line. So the Power will be up by a point at the MCG with 5 to play. 7-10-52 to the D's 7-9-51. Saturday night footy on ABC Sport.
It's another curveball for you Saturday night. 6th lead change of the contest. Tomlinson drives it out to a pack outside the defensive 50. Ricochets back to Oliver. Kicks long up the outer side wing. Chandler did brilliantly in the air. Got run down by Rosie, but got the handball away. Turner couldn't find Langdon on the outside. We'll have a throw in. Underneath the Shane Warne stand. Not many at the MCG this evening, but those that are here enjoying what they're seeing. It's nervous, tense, tight stuff. Power by a point, 25 gone in the final term. Rosie just cruises away from the stoppage, whacks at an absolute mile in the air, up toward half forward, bouncing ball out the back. Mead runs onto it for the Power, steadies at left half forward, 52 from home, centering kick, Rioli ran it down, kept it in front of himself, on the deck, 40 out from the Power goal. Langdon slides in, Tomlinson's there, lays the tackle, and a ball up 45 metres out from Port Adelaide's goal. They're up by a point, 25 and a half gone, final term.
Big Charlie Dixon's on the boundary, ready to go in the gates. He needs to get back in the game. It could be a match winner for Port.
Gone down to Oliver, who was held before the drop. Willem Drew on his tail. He's had a few go against him tonight. The free kick to go to Max Gawn, right back pocket. So the skipper searching for options on the southern side. Down by a point. Gawn's kick to a pack. Petty presents, knocked down. Viney was waiting, hands it to Pickett. They're surging forward, the Demons, and Port look exposed, but the kick was poor. Melchin, close to the boundary line, had to be hit lace out, and offhand, it's over the line. Over at the Docklands, the Bombers by a point, 9 to play there against the Suns. You get some reaction from the rooms as well for Saturday night footy on ABC Sport. Enthralling finish coming your way.
Gawn gets front spot in ruck. Jones is there for the Power though. He sends it back the other way, but only as far as McVie. Tumbles it inside forward 50, and this man is doing it at both ends. Jason Horne-Francis intercepts. Well, he is stretching out some cramp behind the footy. What a night Jason Horne-Francis has had. Couple of goals, 20 touches, 9 marks for his evening as well. He's been a presence at both ends of the ground. Short to Burgoyne. Whacks it outside the defensive 50. Tomlinson puts his fist through it. Here's Horne-Francis again. Finds some space where there wasn't much. Stationary kick. It's a wobbler down the wing. It'll bounce out in front of Rivers and will be paid insufficient attempt. Free kick to the Demons. Rivers brings it into Lever, centre of the southern wing.
Had some options in the square. Instead bangs it long. Bashes the kick up to the 50, nearly claimed by Houston, offhand, spilled down, head over the footy, thrust out of there by Chandler. His handball to Horne-Francis is clotheslined. Went in hard for the footy, and Clayton Oliver collected him. Jason Horne-Francis has been everywhere tonight, putting Port on his back. Young star now directing traffic in the left back pocket. Port by a point. 3 to play. High ball to the southern side. Fist comes in from Tomlinson, and Butters is there again. The class is rising to the top. Drew to Rosie. Inboard to Lockie Jones, and across the centre square go the Power. Here's Travis Boak, the best of the lot, the veteran, searching wide to Mead. Doesn't have a lot ahead of him right half forward as Melbourne move their zone across.
trudging along. The Power at the moment, they're almost out of gas.
Mead forced to go long. Hits it to the 50. Raffanulia from the side. Tried to claim it. Knocked down Burne-Jones. Wrapped up by Horn. It comes to Howes.
Oh.
Dangerous kick. Looked to square it up to centre half back, and Narkle was lurking. He'll hand it off. Houston, the rocket from 60 against the side he may find himself at. Fell short. Burgoyne tried to put it through and ends up being rushed over for a minor score.
Just nearly hung on to that too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Almost fell in his lap, but unfortunately it was just last second dropped across the line.
Taught by 2.
Dan Houston's done it from that spot before. Exiting kick to Melksham, taken away by Bergman. Now to Burgoyne. Handball inside forward 50. Langdon tumbles, tackled, caught high. Mead got him high. Port by 2.
Got to get it moving here.
29 gone, final term. Demons trying to keep a flickering flame alive of their season. They need to go quickly, as Daniel Harford told you. Long kick down the line is intercepted by Alia.
So the signs are being held up on the bench at the Port Adelaide end for 2 minutes at the moment.
Doesn't know which way to go, so spreads it wide to Horne-Francis, who directs some traffic and says, give me an option behind the footy so we can milk some time off the clock. Centre of the southern wing, Jason Horne-Francis. Up by 2 points, the Power. Kick to the edge of the 50. Big pack. Sweet. Knocks it away from Gawn. Farrell's there. Gave it away. Taken away for Melbourne. Little kick over the top from McVie. Socket on by Rivers. Straight to guess who? Jason Horne-Francis, who slides into mark on the wing once more.
What a final term. Horne-Francis' 7th touch incoming.
See if he features in Kez's votes later.
Oh, well done.
They switch across half back to Houston. The voices of Daniel Harford and Karen Peterson there. Aaron Bryans and Joel Peterson calling the action here at the G. Port by 2. Horne-Francis close to the boundary line. Squeezes it to Farrell. They've slowed things down here as the clock runs down. The D's will be desperate for an answer. Their season on the line. Port chasing top 2. Kick down the southern wing. Mark taken by Burne-Jones. Got in front of Viney. Squares it to Rosie. Wasn't 15. Under pressure from McDonald. Did well. The composure to spin and spot Horne-Francis. Methodical down the wing they go. Jason Horne-Francis. Too far out to score. Sets it up in the pocket. Flirting with the boundary line. Port Adelaide win. Whether it's demolition derbies or slugfests at the G, Port Adelaide have proven they can find a way to win. Their credentials are bolstered. They win by 2 points. Six lead changes across the night with a margin that barely crept into double digits. It was Quentin Narkle, the super sub, who levelled the game late, and then a couple of behinds edged Port Adelaide over the line. What a run of form. They are now on the Power. They've won 6 of their last 7 and are surging towards September as they find themselves in the top 2 at the conclusion of Saturday night with 2 rounds to play. 2 goals to Dixon and Horne-Francis, singles to Butters, Burne-Jones and Narkle. Port Adelaide winners by 2 points, 7-11-53 to 7-9-51. The Power Power plants its flag in the MCG and says we'll see you in September to retrieve it. They just continue to find ways to win. And whilst it wasn't an emphatic statement tonight, winning ugly is all you need to do when it comes to finals football. Port Adelaide by 2 as Melbourne's season comes to a close with their 11th loss of the campaign. Joel Peterson's headed downstairs to the rooms for some reaction. But to wrap it all up, your experts this evening on ABC Sport. 3-time All-Australian Karen Peterson and former Blues coach Daniel Harford.
Well, I reckon Kenny Hinkley will be wrapped with that win from the Power. It was a long way from the way that they want to play their footy, and Melbourne did a hell of a job restricting the ability for the Power to move the ball up and down the ground, and they got smashed in contested ball, plus 30 for the Ds. So to be able to survive that and find a way to win and wrestle a win, you call those a spot on. It was a finals-like win. They needed to be able to learn how to win really ugly. They've done that here tonight. So Kenny, he's had some big moments, a massive demolition last week, 22 goals against the Swans, and that was fantastic. But you've got to show your mettle when the game is going against you and you're up against it. And that's what Melbourne put up against the Power tonight. So he'd be absolutely wrapped, I reckon, with that win for the Power. It ends the Demons season officially. They can't go anywhere, even if there was a slight chance. But they put up a good fight, took away the weapons of the Power, I reckon, tonight, Kez, and gave themselves a chance on the back of it.
Yep, you're spot on, Half. I like the comment that you made around you just have to find a way to win, and that's what they did. It was a completely different game than what it was last week, which was really high scoring. They jumped out of the blocks and were able just to continue on with it. That's not what happened tonight. They put themselves under the pump, got the first 2 goals kicked against them, and then were able just to wrestle the momentum back into their favour. They didn't be able to go through the middle of the ground like they were early for the rest of the game. It became a real tussle, became about clearance, which we spoke about. They sent their big guns around the ball. Horn Francis was absolutely outstanding. He was by far the most influential player on the ground, finished with 27 touches. He had 11 contested possessions, kicked 2 goals. He was incredible, particularly late when they just needed a cool head. Yep. They sent him behind the ball. He just was incredibly smart with his patterns, the way he ran. He was absolutely outstanding, and as was Butters. We spoke about Boak throughout the night as well, just his calm head from the half-back line and his ability to use his weapon, which is his disposal by foot. He was tremendous for them, going at 86%. 21 of those possessions that he had were uncontested, but he just found a way to get to the right spot. His teammates know where to find him, and then every time he had the ball tonight, he just put it into a great spot for his teammate up the ground. Melbourne, look, they didn't disgrace themselves tonight by any stretch. They were in that contest right till the last second. Probably were guilty at times of overusing the handball and found themselves turning the ball over in ordinary spots. But what would be really pleasing for the Demons would be the way that they were able to really lock down the transition of the way that Port were able to move the ball through the first quarter. They were able to change the game with their defensive running. They've had some injuries that have mounted for them, and unfortunately that, as you said, signals the end of their season, so they'll need to regroup and pack up. I mean, ultimately, it's a pretty disappointing season for them. Yep. With straight sets out the last season in the finals and to miss finals this year, albeit with some of the injuries, most notably to Petrarca, but that's a really disappointing season for them, so they'll need to regroup and go again next year. But onwards and upwards for the Power. I wonder if there's some Power supporters that might be listening that, what was it, probably 2-3 months ago now, had some signs out, wanting to see Ken Hinkley gone, and all of a sudden they found themselves at the end of round, 21, inside the top 2. It's quite a remarkable turnaround, and just shows the strength of the group for them to be able to, look internal, not listen to the noise that's happening outside, just to be able to eyes in and focus on what they need to do inside, and for them to be able to turn their season around they have is quite remarkable. And as we've both spoken about, the ability for them to be able to play different styles and to get some real gritty wins, particularly here tonight away from home, which inevitably, if they want to have a good tilt at this premiership, they're going to have to come back to the G and win, and they showed an ability to do that tonight. Yeah, it gets a team that plays really well at this venue, with the D's obviously being their home ground, and they put up a good show again tonight, so they'll be wrapped, I reckon. Round 12, was it 12, 13, 14, 12, 14, 15, they lost the 3 games in a row. They were coming for Kenny's head, the Power, and now they're sitting second on the ladder.
Knocked off the Dogs, Carlton and Sydney in this run, and now Melbourne, soaking in the admiration of the travelling fans. A bit of a lap to say thank you. Port Adelaide making their way down the race. 2-point winners. Joel Peterson's in the rooms for all the reaction. Down to you, Joel.
Thanks, Az. Plenty of Port Adelaide friends and family down here. They're a pretty happy crew. You wouldn't say they're getting too carried away, but there's certainly a feeling of contentment, and I mean, you think about the course of their season so far, and you spoke about it really well there, all of you guys upstairs, the fact that it's been an up and down ride for this power team. It's all up at the moment. Connor Rosie and Travis Boak lead them in. One of their young stars, Logan Evans, what a find he's been coming into this team. We're hoping to have a chat with Zach Butters, who's getting plenty of admiration as he makes his way in. Ryan Burton, who didn't play tonight, but is part of the travelling emergencies for Port Adelaide, is in the song as well. And good to see Todd Marshall here as well with his warm-up kit on. Of course, being subbed out of the game with concussion at half-time. They're circling up, about to belt out the song.
Port celebrating down in the rooms, winners by 2 points. We'll get some more reaction from Joel Peterson in a moment, but there's big news at the Docklands. Mac Andrew, after the siren, has just gifted the Suns a lead with a set shot from 25 out. Gold Coast win by a point over Essendon, 13-9-87 to the Bombers, 12-14-86. What a night of footy we've had. What a day. It has been incredible. The Bombers' finals hopes lay in tatters. They'll need to pull off something miraculous in the final fortnight to make their way into the 8. Gold Coast, meanwhile, there's a bit of a sniff that maybe they could make something work. Port Adelaide have been the big winners amongst it all. They've snuck into the top 2 after the Giants rolled Brisbane, but my goodness, Gold Coast, with their first win on the road this season, has come after the siren off the boot of defender Mac Andrew. It's all happening.
What a game. What a couple of games. We didn't see all that game at Docklands tonight, but what a season, Kez. I can't recall, and many people have talked about this all the way through, but teams haven't taken their opportunities to cement spots. Some teams have caused enormous upsets with a little bit on the line. They're giving themselves a chance to breathe. And again, at Docklands tonight, Gold Coast win their first win away from home for the season after such a disappointing performance last week against the Eagles. And we see the Power win by a couple of points here up against it with the big arm wrestle, give themselves a chance. Essendon have gone from 7th to 9th with that kick from Mac Andrew. He pushed forward. He's a tough man to stop when the ball comes into the air. It was a great move by the coaching staff to get him forward late in the game. That was quite something, and the composure to go back and kick the goal. Thanks for coming.
So the live ladder, Port Adelaide in second, a game behind Sydney, but also tied with the Giants and Geelong just ahead on percentage, only by a couple as well. Meanwhile, Essendon now down in 9th, and the Dogs and Carlton ahead of them have a game to play tomorrow, which could leave Essendon essentially 2 wins out of the 8. They'd need to win their final 2 fixtures to get in. So there's so much happening in the footy world, but are essentially our 10 contenders are starting to dwindle, and it's getting harder and harder to force your way into the top 8 for September. But Port Adelaide, they won't care about what's happening crosstown, because what an important victory tonight was, and it looked like it was fading at times. The Demons had the better of them at stoppage early, but again, it's the same superstars and that almost midfield 5 who any of them can stand up at any given point. Butters, Boak, Rosie, Wines and Horne-Francis. And tonight, it was really the younger brigade. And we've touched on it a lot across the campaign, Kez, that when you talk about the best midfield trios in the competition, on their best night, Butters, Rosie and Horne-Francis certainly belong in that conversation. Consistency's been a problem, but this last month, they've really shined.
Well, they make other midfields nervous. Just the ability for particularly Butters with his speed, the way that he's able to break through contests. There's not many that can go with him. We saw that example tonight. I mean, you certainly don't think that Oliver's, not a great midfielder, and he just put speed and meterage into him. And then obviously with the way that Horne-Francis is playing and his ability to push forward and impact the scoreboard, that's his biggest weapon. And then obviously we saw tonight as well, just his composure when the game's on the line. He has the ability just to take over, put himself in the right position to win the ball. So I agree with you, Az. I think as far as formidable midfields go, they have to be in the conversation for amongst the best in the competition, and we're really going to see them challenged over the next, probably month. Obviously, the next 2 weeks, they need to hold their nerve. They need to keep improving, and then they get their opportunity to showcase that in the finals, and that's going to be probably for these three their biggest test to date, and we're going to see the chemistry and things that they've been able to develop over the last couple of years, but particularly the last month where they've started to really string some really good footy together. They're going to be put under the pump come finals, and I'm excited, and I'm sure a lot of the Port Adelaide fans would be excited to see how they go when the heat's on, and are they able to stand up when the big moments need to be counted. And I'll be backing him in at the moment.
24, 23 and 21 is the age profile of that trifecta. It's, the next 7 or 8 years of footy.
And the leadership that they're all showing as well, obviously with Rosie coming in as his first year as skipper, he's been outstanding. I know too well how that can be a bit of an added pressure, but he's been able to stand up and he's had the other midfielders go with him. The improvement individually, but more importantly collectively from them. And as I said, like before, that they've been really challenged this year. With Rosie, he would have gone through some pretty sleepless nights, I would imagine, 2-3 months ago when there was signs and what goes on over in Adelaide in the bubble that is over there when the heat was really on them. And for him not to be able to drop his bundle, he's obviously very well supported by those around him. I want to throw Boak into that as well. I'm sure he had a fair bit to do with some composure and maybe some phone calls and just a bit of stiffening of his spine through that time, and what they've been able to do is to come out the end of it and find themselves in a top 2 position. It speaks volumes to the culture that they've got within their program over there, and it's pretty exciting when you just mention the ages and what's to come for this group, but I wouldn't be for them looking too far ahead of what's coming in the next couple of weeks and then into this finals campaign for sure.
And a rare venture to the MCG as well that's capped off with a real arm wrestle win. It wasn't pretty, but to get the job done under those circumstances, which could emulate finals like football, it means a lot to be able to just crawl across and win by 2 points in the end. Let's get some reaction from the rooms. Joel Peterson downstairs in the power camp.
Good on you, Az. Thank you. It's all happening down here. David Parkin, the ABC's own, was just out the back of the box as well. I've got Zach Butters with me, who was so instrumental in Port Adelaide's win tonight. Zach, gee, they made you work for that. That was a pretty bruising contest out there. How do you feel in the aftermath?
Yeah, coming into the game, we sort of predicted it was going to be like that. They've got some really good tools, and Gorney's a threat for them, so we knew it was going to be a contest, and we probably didn't start the way we wanted to, and then I thought after half-time we really embraced the contest and the scrap and what it was going to be like and adapted a bit better, and I thought we were able to play a bit of second half after that.
Couldn't have been a more contrasting game style to last week. You come off that massive win over the Swans into an absolute grind today. What was the message during the week in terms of how you were going to, I guess, respond from that kind of performance and come into a battle tonight?
Yeah, we speak a lot about the club. You can't get too low in the lows, and you can't get too high in the highs. Like 6 weeks ago when it was pretty low, we said we committed to we weren't going to get too low. We're going to keep the energy high, keep grinding away, and hopefully things tick. And hey, it's pretty similar when you win them big games. You can't get too high and you can't get too emotional about it. You've got to focus on the next task. And I thought it took us a little bit longer to adapt today, but I thought it was a solid effort, and sometimes you've got to win dirty and then move on after that.
You sit in the top 2 after this win tonight. The middle of the season, there was so much talk around what was happening at your footy club and the way that you've been able to ride the wave across the course of the year. Were there times in the middle of the season when you questioned where you were headed, or were you pretty confident that you had this kind of trajectory in you?
I'm a pretty confident kind of guy with this group, and I feel like we really went to work, and there was a few things we needed to get better at, and a few people put their hand up and admitted it, and we got better at things. And really the end of it was like, just if we're going to do something, let's all do it together, let's all buy in, and really enjoyed it as well. And I feel like bringing in guys like Logan Evans has been a huge fresh air for us, and the way he's been playing, and Charlie Dixon coming back in after it didn't look all too good for him, but he's come in and been performing, and he brings so much energy to his team. So yeah, very happy with the boys' performance tonight.
The dynamic Zach Butters with us on ABC Sport. I'll send you upstairs, Zach, Aaron Bryans, Daniel Harford and Kieran Peterson.
Zach, Daniel Harford, mate, well done to you and the lads tonight. I'm interested in your comment before about having to adjust, and took you a bit longer than perhaps you would have liked to adjust to the style of the game tonight. Can you just tell our listeners what that actually looks like from your perspective, what you had to adjust to?
Yeah, just probably the contest and being in it for longer and staying stronger in it. I feel like, there's a lot of big sort of packs and contested balls to be won, and just our little structures with a few little things off have given us a chance to actually get that done when the time comes. So I thought we really went to work with that detail, and once we put ourselves in that contest a bit more, we're able to win some more.
I noticed from up in the box sometimes looking to chain the ball through the middle of the ground. You like the corridor, we all know that. You chain the ball, and then oftentimes the Ds would squeeze up and play that real come forward defence, which shut that down. So does that mean you've got to find other avenues and kick the ball wider or kick the ball longer from contest at times?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you've got to get a bit of territory and try and clear that bubble that they get so many numbers in and they work towards. Sometimes you've got to clear it and get it out there and get it going forward and get some speed on it. And then sometimes if they slow you up, you sort of got to go around them. But we've been playing against them for a long time and had a fair few close games against them. And we're pretty well over how they play. So I just thought it took us a little bit longer than I probably would have liked to adapt. But once we got it done, we got it done.
We were talking through the call about the impact of Travis Boak. I called him Larry Bird at one stage. Just get it to Trav, get out of the way. Everything he did with absolute class and precision. Having a guy like that to guide you young leaders through and be out there in those moments to manage them, how important is that for this team?
Yeah, he's huge. I think just his on-field leadership and his professionalism and how he fronts up and plays every week. He's been so consistent for us this year. And I often call him Grandpa. He's about 15 years older than me, so. But yeah, he's my locker buddy, and he's helped me out a lot. And I'm very grateful that he's still playing, and the way he's playing as well is a credit to himself.
I'm sure he loves that nickname, Zach. It's Karen Peterson up here. Well done. Just a word on your own performance tonight. You had 30 last week. You had 30 tonight. You were really influential around the contest. Just talk us through your own form, and you mentioned before as well that 6 weeks ago when things weren't going as well as what they are now, that the team went to work on being able to stick together and those things. What did you go to work on that's allowed you to be in the form that you're in at the moment?
Yeah, I think I've definitely had a few challenges, probably different to my last few years in the AFL, and I was no stranger that I needed to get better at a few things and handle myself a bit better. And I feel like I just had some honest conversations with Kari and Kenny and the people I trust around me, and they gave me some really good feedback. And once I get some things that I can work on and improve on, I'm pretty determined to try and get them done and work with my teammates and coaches to try and get better as a team and also individually. So footy's a long season, and it's my 6th season now, so I know it's not always going to be perfect, but you just got to hang in there and keep growing it out.
We were just chatting up here in the box just before you came on air about the combination of yourself, Jason Horne-Francis, and obviously Connor Rosie through the middle. You guys are outstanding as a trio tonight. What are you guys working on? Like, what does the next 2 weeks look like for you three in particular, and just, I guess, the leadership and on-field influence that you guys can have? Have you got something that you've got in mind that you need to do heading into finals?
I think just keep it simple and take it 1 week at a time. Obviously review tonight's game and then move on to the showdown, and that's always a big game in Adelaide, so get our thoughts of that and then just focus on that. I think you don't want to look too far ahead and get carried away with too much. There's still a few games of the home and away season left, so you really got to focus on trying to win them and make sure you're going in some good form and really build some confidence in the team. So I think for us, I think when we keep it simple as with me, Jason and Connor, that the rest of our game sort of take care of itself. So just supporting each other and keeping it simple.
Hey Zach, Aaron Bryans here. Speaking of form and momentum, I think it's never been more important in a season like this where we've had so many ebbs and flows. It's the longest ever campaign, and we're seeing some ladder leaders fall and some teams that started slow building back. Last year you had that 13-game winning streak, and then by the time finals came around, you were almost falling to the finish line. You were kind of beaten up, battered and bruised, and a fair few injuries. Do you feel like you're better placed this year, that you're timing your run a little better?
Yeah, I think you could say that, but also as a footy club, we just want to keep showing up and keep getting back there and keep giving ourselves a chance, and I guess that's all you can do. So it's been good to build some confidence and form in the last few weeks, but we're no doubt as a group, and we're not shying away that it's going to be a tough next few weeks, and hopefully a tough few weeks after that. So you've got to really embrace it and adapt to the games that come our way. Might
be a tricky task as well with no Todd Marshall and Mitch Georgiadis as well. How is Todd downstairs? He looked a little shaken after the hit.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a tough year for Todd. Obviously done a little hip a few weeks ago and then comes back in and gets a concussion. He's had a few now, so really feeling for the big fella, and we'll wrap our arms around him. We know he's an important part of our team, and when he's up and about, he's an important cog for us. So we'll try and support him as best we can and get him back out there as quick as we can.
Zach, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck in Showdown 56 next week. Your ripping form should warrant a bigger showpiece game in Adelaide.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Great to have Zach Butters in the Port Adelaide rooms after their 2-point victory over Melbourne. It was an absolute thriller and a slugfest. Low scoring, back and forth. Single-digit margin for a large majority of the night. But Zach Butters, one of the prolific midfielders who pulled them over the line, 30 touches and a goal to his name, including 13 contested possessions and 5 score involvements. Just some of the stats of the night. Might rattle off a couple more while Daniel Harford and Karen Peterson work on the votes. Just recapping as well over at the Docklands. The Gold Coast Suns defeated the Bombers by a point. Mac Andrew kicking the match-winning goal after the siren from a set shot.
Here's a stat for you, Az. Here's a stat for you. In the last quarter, Essendon kicked 1 goal, 9. And lost by a point.
Unforgivable.
1 goal, 9. They had about 90% play in their forward half. 1 goal, 9.
Brad Scott has spoken a lot about the reviews they've had the past few weeks, how gory they've been, but this might be the worst of all. 1-9.
Yuck.
All right, some of the stats from this game. So, mentioned Zach Butters with his 30 touches and a goal. Travis Boak, again, the veteran in game 366. Surely he plays on next year.
Yeah.
Tied Bernie Quinlan in 12th overall for games played and had 29 touches. Including 3 tackles and 8 inside 50s. Connor Rosie as well had a big night, so he had 28 touches. Dan Houston and Jason Horne-Francis joined him, but the Hornet had 2 goals as well to his name. So a very impressive night for Port Adelaide. The D's obviously were around the mark for a lot of the night. A large portion of that came from their players in the middle, and Max Gawn led the charge there. 30 hitouts, 22 touches as well. And Cozzy Pickett up front, just deadly when the ball hit the deck. 4 goals to his name and 21 touches. Kez, what'd you land on with your 3-2-1?
Yeah, tough task tonight. You just gave away all my stats, so thanks, Az, for that. Appreciate it very much. I'm going to start with a couple of apologies.
Good on you, Az.
Yeah. Stick to your lane, Az.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah, that's right. There is a couple of apologies. I want to give our man Zach Butters an apology because he was outstanding tonight. He had 30 touches and he really led from the front alongside his mate Rosie, who also doesn't feature. Dan Houston doesn't get a vote. He had 28 touches, went at 80%. I couldn't find a vote for him, but I thought he was really good. And the bloke that you just mentioned, Cozzy Pickett, towards the end, kicking 4 goals and doesn't feature in the votes, doesn't look too good on my behalf. But the 3 votes I've got, so I'll go with 1 vote first. I couldn't go past Gawn. I had to give Gawn a vote. He had 30 hit-outs. He had 22 touches, going at 93%. When Melbourne were up and about, it was because of him. He got himself back on the line, took some really influential and impactful marks deep inside his D50. If it wasn't for him tonight, I reckon that it might have got a little bit ugly for Melbourne. So 1 vote to Max Gawn. Spoke a lot about this guy tonight. 2 votes to Travis Boak. I thought he was outstanding. He just found himself in space at the right time, and every possession that he had tonight, it landed in a teammate's to his advantage or directly in his lap. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. 29 touches, going at 86%. He had 8 inside forward 50s, 9 marks, and 4 score involvements. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. And it won't be a surprise to anyone that I've gone 3 votes for Jason Horne-Francis. He had 28 touches, went at 70%, 11 contested, 13 marks, 5 score involvements, 3 marks inside forward 52, which led to 2 goals as well. He was by far and above the best player on the ground, and particularly when it mattered late in the game. His 4th quarter was probably the best of the night for him. He was absolutely outstanding. So 1 vote Gawn, 2 votes Boak, 3 votes Jason Horne-Francis.
It's no surprise that he's already asking for a leadership role next year as well, Jason Horne-Francis. He was directing traffic out there in the clutch and helped them get over the line by 2 points in the end. So 3 to Jason Horne-Francis, 2 to Boak, 1 to Max Gawn. What it means from here, so Port Adelaide in the top 2. Still 3 games to come tomorrow. So Carlton and the Hawks, big game there to determine who will be in the 8. Richmond and St Kilda, the dead rubber in the middle. And Adelaide and the Western Bulldogs as the Dogs look to consolidate their spot. Port will have the showdown next week, their home showdown as well against Adelaide. And then Fremantle on the road to wrap up their final fortnight. Meanwhile, for Melbourne, they'll have the Suns and Collingwood to wrap up their season, and which is essentially curtains now. Mathematically, they're
done.
They're done for the year. So a shame for D's fans. If we had a bit more time, I would have got stuck into it a little bit more. But I think the concern out of that, even for Kez just giving a vote to Gawn and how much they used him to direct their ball movement at the age of 32, is a little bit of a concern that he's the pillar of of where they currently sit, Kez.
Yeah, there's going to be some questions, I think, get asked of the Melbourne Footy Club at the end of the year, because there's been a real disappointing period of time for them, not just this season, but the last couple as well. So, yeah, big things to come, I'm sure, out of Melbourne this off-season.
In Clayton Oliver with 16 touches for the night, barely a dent. So their midfield mix may need some work in the off-season, but they've got a fortnight to possibly find some answers with their youth. Big thanks to everyone who joined us here at the MCG. We may have had more seagulls than punters with 17,000 in the house, but we had a cracking contest to compare across the road with the Bombers and the Suns. So Gold Coast winners by a point there, and here Port Adelaide get over the line by 2, 7-11-53 to 7-9-51. For the majority of our listeners, we're about to head back to regular programming, but for our listeners in South Australia, you're off to the Paris Olympics. Do join us tomorrow for the triple header. It all starts 12 Eastern with AFL Sunday and Matt Clinch. And then at 1 p.m, we'll take you to the G for Carlton and Hawthorn, Richmond and St Kilda from 3 p.m. And we wrap up round 22 at Adelaide Oval with the Crows and the Western Bulldogs. 3 votes to Jason Horne-Francis, 2 to Travis Boak, and 1 to Max Gawn. Wraps things up here as Port Adelaide win by 2 in a seesawing affair. 6 lead changes. They were up by 1 at quarter time, down by 3 at the half. The same margin at 3-quarter time. And the late sealer, Quinton Narkle, levelling the game, and 2 behinds gets Port Adelaide over the line on ABC.